Jessie wanted to count.
Jesse's right.
Yeah, she said she had to count.
All right, we will open the meeting with opportunity for privilege of the floor. And I'm gonna, so I think people, we do have a privilege of floor policy. And so speakers have up to 3 minutes to speak. And one opportunity per speaker. Comments should be directed to the town board. Respectful dialogue is expected, and personnel matters should be directed to department head or the supervisor. So without, and I'll be trying to negotiate between the Zoom attendees and the in-person attendees. So without further ado, I will, I'll start with the in-person list I have here, and then I'll look for anybody that has their hand raised on Zoom. And if you're able to watch for that, Jesse, on Zoom, that would be helpful. So, so first is Kim Wetzel. And if speakers here, if they could go to the podium there to speak, that will be the best place for everybody to be able to see you.
So I turn the barrel, right?
Pardon me?
I turn the barrel.
Your turn. Yeah.
Okay. For those of you that don't know me, local businessman in the community since 1970. And own a lot of property. Some of it's agriculture and some of it's used for other things, my businesses. And I see the proposed zoning as a real restriction on me to do with my property what I've paid taxes on for all these years. We are one of, I think, 2 townships in Tompkins County that as yet do not have zoning. I don't see, as a lot of people say, well, it's gonna protect my property, it's gonna do this, it's gonna do that. If you want all those regulations, this is not the place to be. We do have a number of businesses in this town, more than you might think. And they need to be supported. They need to be supported in not having a bunch of regulations that are frivolous, that are in an area that may not be quite so rural. The rural character of this town has not been adversely impacted by the existing businesses, to my knowledge. Now, I have businesses that use big trucks and people, I don't like those big trucks.
I love them.
But everything that you have, you go to your house and you take a look in there, and there's only a few things, the eggs you got from your chickens this morning, but everything else has been touched by a big truck. So they're kind of a necessary evil. As a result of that, I think that zoning is going to be a real restriction for what happens in the future. I don't think it's going to be the do all, save all that a lot of people think. It's going to make this township just like any other township. This is a unique township, one of 2 that don't have zoning. It's a rural township. If you want all those services, and you want all those things that tell your neighbor what he can do and what he can't do, there's still land for sale in Cuba Heights.
Kim, there's 3, Enfield, Caroline, and Newfield, don't have zoning.
Oh, just 3? Thank you. I appreciate being corrected. So I think the thing to do, I would like to encourage the town board members to be here. Look these people in the eye and talk to them and explain to them why you feel that you need this or you don't need that or so on and so forth. They've taken the time not to just elect you, but to show up and be here because they're concerned. A lot of people here are concerned.
Yes.
So I really would appreciate the board, think about this. I don't see a lot of reasons why we need zoning. I could go down through a whole litany of things that the town could do before they spend all this money on zoning. And I'm gonna do a little further research on that, and hopefully maybe one of the next meetings I can present to you folks remind the board of how many thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars they've spent on this zoning thing. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Jesse, is there anybody in Zoom land that wishes to speak?
There's room too, if people want to come in.
Yeah.
Nothing on Zoom.
Nothing on Zoom. Okay, thank you. Next speaker is Tanya Van Camp.
This is my first time doing anything like this. I'm a little nervous.
Good.
You'll be okay, you'll be okay.
But when we decided to move here in 2006, we looked at places all over Tompkins County. Ultimately, we chose a place on Valley Road, nice place, because it reminded me of the places I grew up in northern Wisconsin and Minnesota. And despite a tumultuous relationship that resulted in becoming a single mom when my kids were very young, I was determined and resolved that I was going to stay in Caroline and someday I was going to buy a house out here. Even though I was struggling to make ends meet, I still got certified as an EMT so I could run with the Slaterville ambulance and give back to our community. Through it all, my life was an absolute roller coaster ride. I was on Section 8, I had food stamps, I was working multiple jobs, but I still got a degree while running my own construction business, raising my kids, working another job, and taking care of my kids and fighting in a custody trial. I can't tell you how many times I cried on the kitchen floor, but I always held on to my dreams. In 2018, I was finally able to purchase my own little slice of heaven in West Slaterville, a small house with a big garage and a workshop with a separate barn on a mere 0.6 acres. The possibilities I've seen for businesses out of my home are endless. Renovating campers in my barn, building and refinishing furniture, having a space for the teens to play games and music and whatnot. Airbnb my camper. I often fantasize about buying the land behind me so I could have a food forest and a campground and a facility where I can teach people about foraging and wild edibles and how to cook and eat healthily. I have more ideas than I have time, but I've always held on to someday. I have read all 132 pages of the zoning proposal more than once. And when I did, my heart sank. I saw my dreams shatter. All of a sudden, my ideas no longer seemed feasible. I know how to hold on to a dream and make it into a reality. I have worked so hard to get off assistance and buy my first home. Reading the proposal and seeing the aesthetic requirements, the lot size limitations, the special use permits, the parking stipulations, the potential escrow accounts, the noise limitations, hello, power tools, are all massive hurdles. The time, money, hard work, and love that goes into starting a business just got wrapped up in a bow tie of bureaucracy and red tape. Things like the noise clause will just result in neighbors policing each other, which is not the type of community I want to live in. There are so many others like me, low-income, hardworking people with big dreams who are used to their voices not being heard, and we deserve to be heard. And most of us can't show up to things like this because we're too busy working and raising our kids. This zoning proposal would only make dreams a reality to the people who have the money to do so. As a community, we should be lifting up, supporting, and encouraging citizens to reach for their star, not building a rocket ship for the elite.
Thank you, Tanya. Is there anybody in Zoom?
Yeah.
Jesse?
Nobody with a raised hand.
Okay, thank you. Tony Tavelli.
I suppose I got three different topics. I'm gonna start with the one that bothers me. I can't say the most, but a lot. Watching the Zoom meeting, board meeting, and during the pledge of allegiance, to watch one of the board members turn her back on the flag and walk out of the room
Mhm.
is offensive to me. I have no problem with them not saying the pledge of allegiance, but it really bothered me that someone who is taking the sworn oath to uphold the state constitution that can't sit through the pledge of allegiance. I wonder how they can possibly be in our government if they have no belief in it. There's probably quite a bit to that, but it's offensive to me. The second thing is, I think probably a lot of the things that goes on with this board, this is only, and the fear of industry is about our aquifers. And I sat through, I don't know, the aquifer committee or where they were writing laws, and Irene Weiser was running that. And they had their guy who was from, I think, DEC, who was their expert reading and using Todd Miller, who was our expert here in Thomas County Soil and Water. I've been through that when I was on the planning board, and he came here and spoke to us, planning board and the board. So I knew the information, and I listened to that guy tell it, and I'm like, not exactly what Todd had to say about it. One of the things that was interesting about it was that there's unconfined aquifers, which is gravel, which we're sitting on. And then there's confined, which is protected by a layer of clay, which can be underneath, and usually are underneath those unconfined also. And one thing that he mentioned that I asked a question about was 1 cup of gasoline can ruin an aquifer. And I said, really? So in this unconfined, a cup of gasoline spilled down through the aquifer ruins it. Yes, and I said, well, then everybody should move. Because, and this is what I was explaining to Irene afterwards, that everywhere in this town, this state, for 100 years, people changing their oil, throwing it on their driveways, antifreeze, whatever they had, out the back door. And if it's that easy to ruin your aquifer, you should move. It's polluted. And I also ask you, why don't you drill underneath, drill through it and get into the confined where it's protected? Oh, we don't know what's down there. I just thought that was a ridiculous answer from an expert. And along that lines, my cousin and her husband, he's dying of ALS. Lives on White Church Road. He's on that unconfined. And now his wife has been diagnosed with the same disease. They're looking into the water. I haven't heard any more about what they're doing, what that is. You know, is that possible? It's just, the odds are just so astronomical that 2 people in the same household would have that. Hard to understand how that would be possible. So that might be something, you know, my point here is when Todd Miller told that story, Paul Trinity had 500 gallons of triglycerol spilled on the aquifer in Cortland, which is unconfined. They built $1 million filtration system to filter it out if it ever showed up. 10 years at that time, back in 2012 or whatever that was, it hadn't showed up yet. They never turned it on. And he said it just caught in the soil. Or it's just dripping in parts per million and it's just disappearing. It's not as easy as just dumping a cup of gasoline on the ground and moving your aquifer. Not that it can't be done. But the second one is zoning. You know, Mark and I, we had a conversation. I told you that I wasn't against zoning for some reason, I think it would be something that would be reasonable, basic. In this first draft, I'll call it, and I know you've said that, well, they're gonna work on that. But that looks like to me the dream. And how would we know whether they're gonna take anything out of it? It's just ridiculous, the things that are in that thing. And that's why the town of Caroline has always jumped up and said no, because they do not trust necessarily who's on the board, but who's gonna be on it next. You get that in and you build that thing back up to what we said no to. So now I stand here saying, no, I don't trust it, I don't dare. Even though, you know, the idea of the comprehensive plan is what everybody wants. We love the rural. And what's the definition of rural by us? It's farms and open land. So, you know, we'd love it to stay that way, but I think we've done a good job of keeping it that way without zoning. And now, like I said, on that first draft and the potential is scary. The stuff in that. Thank you.
This is the camel
Thanks,
nose
Tony.
under the edge of the tent.
Kim. So anybody on your end, Jesse?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. Jay Payton.
So what I wanted to explain was that this is, if this goes in, it's not the end of it. I just bought a piece of property up in Jefferson County that I can put my camper on. It's on 3 Mile Island. And the island is zoned. And this is just an example of how far this can get carried away. I can put my camper on my land that I'm paying taxes on from the 1st of April through the end of November, and then I have to take it off. I have to pay a $100 permit fee every year to do that. And my camper has to be licensed and registered and inspected every year to have it up there. That's how far these regulations can get. I mean, that is totally ridiculous, and I'm sure that when they put zoning in to begin with, it wasn't like that. But I just wanted to let you guys know my personal experience with what I just found out by this. I didn't even know they had zoning when I bought the property, but that's my fault. But it can get that carried away. That's all.
Good.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Jay. Pete Hoyt.
Try to be as eloquent as those first 4 speakers. I'm not that eloquent when I have to say more business, but anyway, so hey, thank you all you guys for what you said.
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I said I can't be as eloquent as the first 4 speakers we had. I'm not built that way. And I said I should appreciate all of you saying what you said and how you said it. So 2 real quick points, more of business than anything else, please. And I'm also addressing, of course, to Tim and Kate, who are present on Zoom. I wanted to research this afternoon, and frankly, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't find any answer to it. So I'm going to ask the board in a rhetorical sense, and I don't have to answer me now, but may the town board replace absent or reassigned zoning commission members? I mean, we're currently down 3. And that just seems unfair to the people that are still on it, have to do all that extra work, and perhaps unfair to us for not getting the full representation that we paid for, that we expect, you know what I mean? So if in fact it's legal for you all to do so, and this is the town board I'm addressing, if it is legal for you to do so, please see about replacing those 3 seats. 2 are from the planning board, I believe, and 1 was specially appointed by the town board. I might be wrong on that, but you guys can check that out. And it's quite likely that there might be some pushback from the zoning commission members, possibly the chair lady. And there again, I would urge you to exercise what I believe is your legitimate authority on that. Point number 2, it's just a point mainly directed at Tim. At the last meeting, Tim made quite a large point that what we consider the first draft of the zoning law, the 132-page job, isn't really a first draft because it was not built by the zoning commission. And so we got into a big semantic display about is it a 0th draft, a first draft, a draft of a draft, whatever. We shouldn't be talking about it yet because it's totally not relevant yet. And I just want to point out that on the zoning commission's page on the town website, there is an introduction by Jane McPeters dated January 13th, where she explicitly says, we have our first draft of the zoning law. Please read it and comment. I wanted to kind of set the record on that one straight. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, Pete. Linda Crispell.
So I'm here to read it for her. I'm her daughter. My name's Anna Wiley. I've spoken before, but My mom wanted me to read her letter here tonight, so forgive me, the print is a bit small. I'm Linda Schock Crispell, a lifelong resident of Sladeville Springs, almost 60 years. It's obvious that the seed for your zoning project was planted when a Dollar General was proposed to our area. When I was a kid, there were 2 privately owned stores here in Sladeville Springs, the Red and White, which had groceries and a deli, and Barnes Trading Post, which had groceries, fuel pumps, and outdoor and hunting supplies. What exactly would be wrong with 2 different stores that are convenient for us and have more affordable options? Sure, right now there is a second store in Brooktondale that has some groceries, but the products on their shelves do not appeal to me and their prices are outrageously high. I married a farmer whose family has owned land and farmed here for 175 years. Our kids have grown up with chores and have continued to help so that they'll be able to continue to live on the land that generations of the family have worked very hard for. 7 to be exact. The idea of zoning is stripping current property owners of their potential dreams. For example, Celebrations is a wonderful asset to the community. It's pleasant to look at, it employs area residents, and we can all enjoy the occasional fireworks. You've already been told that farmers need to diversify to be able to afford the constantly increasing taxes, cost to maintain equipment and fuel. You have no idea what the possibilities could be that someone may dream of. This whole idea of zoning smells just like your bright idea of handpicking a highway superintendent. There's a tendency to choose people and committees that think the way that you do to push your own agendas instead of considering the people that you were elected to serve. Are you bored? I'm respectfully asking you to reconsider or abandon this dreadful zoning idea. Please don't push your agenda on lifelong residents and others who still have dreams. Thank you, Linda Crispell.
Linda / Anna. And Steve Nash.
I'm sorry, guys, that's me too. I offered to read for anyone that couldn't. One thing I haven't seen is the cost to residents if this plan is enacted. I know the draft cost us around $60,000, but what comes after that? Will it be necessary to hire a zoning commissioner, inspector, enforcer? Will it require another office or building? Are we as residents expected to file papers on things we see our neighbor doing that does not conform? If violations come to be, does the committee send out their inspector? Does this employee have the right to trespass on legally posted property to investigate said violations? Do the taxpayers need to have a worker compensation policy for said employee? What if this employee has an accident while investigating? Does the landowner need to hire legal counsel to prove their innocence? Questions like these, among others, have given me more than a few sleepless nights. Signed, Steve Nash, concerned in Caroline.
Thank you, Steve. Jesse, anything?
No hands on Zoom.
Okay, thank you.
Just plugging
Just shifting.
it. I'm just plugging it.
Okay,
Just plugging it.
so I will offer, because it's come up in a couple of comments, just briefly comment on the draft. So we did err on the side of transparency. That was a starting scaffold for internal work by the zoning commission, and they haven't finished that work. So yes, it is expected to be quite different from what's up there. It's it's a work in progress. So that is absolutely true. And I think I think we all appreciate the entrepreneurial spirit and the wonderful businesses that we have in Caroline, like Jay Payton's well drilling business and lots of other businesses. Those are things that we do not, the intent is not to restrict those or curtail them. And so we're working for something that allows people to continue these things, but but ensures that everybody knows what to expect when they buy a property. So I just feel very strongly that that we all hold dear the entrepreneurial spirit of Caroline. So, and I think it's a work in progress. So with that, I will close privilege of the
There's
floor.
a hand on
Oh,
Zoom.
okay.
Mark, there's
so-
Karina that would like to speak.
Great, thank you. So can you unmute Karina?
We have some other people that would like to speak.
Yeah, I'd like to say.
Can I-
a short little thing.
If you'd like to speak, please sign the.
Put it up there when you step up there. and sign.
Yeah, like here, maybe.
Can Karina,
Who's this?
can she start?
Pardon me?
Can Karina start?
Yes, go ahead, Karina. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Karina Farbman. I grew up here in Slaterville. And when I graduated, my parents moved to Danby. I was gone for a while, and then I came back and lived in Danby for 15 years. In 2020, my parents were going to give me 2 acres of land so that I could put a house on that land. And I had to deal with the Danby zoning board, and then the planning board, and then the zoning board. And because of all the restrictions that I couldn't meet because of where I wanted to place the house, which was going to be like a modular home, they denied me from being able to build there on land that my parents wanted to give me because it didn't meet like placement restrictions and how many feet it was going to be from the road and road frontage restrictions. So in the end, I wasn't able to build the house, and I wanted to be able to own a house. And I have a lot of friends here in Caroline. I grew up here. I was able to buy a house last summer in Brookendale. And now I'm worried that, again, I'll have to deal with restrictions if I want to do anything with my property. And I would like to be able to like have a small business for my pottery and build a pottery studio. And I don't know if these restrictions are going to make that difficult for me or make it more expensive than I originally planned. I, like many people that do want zoning, I don't want big box stores coming to this area. And I do want to be able to do what I want, what I feel like I should be able to do with my own land without having the town, a board, zoning or planning or any code enforcers telling me that I can and cannot do with it. That's why I came here. What I couldn't do in Danby, I would like to be able to do here. And that's all.
Thank you, Karina. You have that list, Bill? Is your name the name next one on there? Yeah.
I can't hear anything, so.
Go ahead.
All right. So my name is Bill Gates. I live in the town. I own land in the town. But well, you know, when I started out, I had nothing, absolutely nothing. I had nobody left me anything or to do anything with. I've worked my whole life. I had to borrow a truck to cut trees with when I was so young. I had nothing. And now I have a little bit. I finally bought my land. And I want to do with my land what I want to do with my land. I take good care of my land. I'm not making a toxic waste. So I'm just saying, I'm not gonna let you guys tell me what I'm doing with my land. So when you pass your law, maybe you should build the jail in the town first to put me in it, because that's what's gonna happen, just so you know.
Thank you, Bill. Is there anybody else that would like to speak to the board?
That's what they're hoping for.
I'll be in the jail too.
Yeah, better build a big one.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to close privilege of the floor and move on to the business meeting. Unless there is somebody that wishes to address the board.
Thank you, Mark, for the privilege of the floor and extending a little bit. We appreciate that.
Sure.
Yes.
The only thing that I would like to see is I'd like to see more of the town board members here.
Here.
Well,
Talk to your people. Look them in the eye. Understand who.
I think, so yeah, I understand, Kim. So everybody has to take into consideration their own personal circumstances, and I can assure you they are different for each of us.
On the board, they can't be here.
So
Public
Great.
service.
I do thank you all for coming tonight and attending and speaking to us. So great. Okay, so let's begin the business meeting. We have a meeting with Judge Reinbold.
You're not supposed to.
So good to make the
Your notes for Bill.
Bill jail, of course. Exactly.
I'll be right back. Well, actually, I'd love to have.
41. Yeah.
I don't know how many are.
There are 22, there were 22 on there and then 41. Did we get a count for Jesse?
I tried for this. I got
Cal
33 here, but you got 41.
I did.
Okay, thanks. I'll pass that on to Jesse there.
We could do an average of the two.
I think you're probably better. I think people came in.
Yeah, because there's, I
The
had
doorway.
37 and I thought I saw.
Okay, we'll give her your number, I think.
Oh, no, I can drink my root beer. Okay.
All right. So, and welcome, Richard, and thank you for the clean walks. I really appreciated that. So. Yeah. Judge Reinbold, thank you for joining us. And thanks for the caseload report for 2021. And did you want to introduce that or preface it or anything?
Well, I have some commentary to make about case count and some other issues regarding the court. So I'd like to get them on the record. First, in the interest of full disclosure, I have a vested interest in the matter we're discussing today, but that doesn't mean that what I have to say is inaccurate. Actually, my purpose for being here is to clarify, it's a little tardy. I wanted to do this last month, but I missed the deadline for posting, whatever. I missed that window. Because what I'm dealing with today are some concepts, false concepts regarding the operations of the court that were asserted and placed on the record in the agenda meeting of January 4th, 2022. One has to do with case count, which I've just provided to the board at their request, and the other is public hours. So let's begin with case count. Last year, the court brought forth the case count information during the budget cycle, which commenced in early September. And the evaluation was supposed to be used to determine whether or not the judges should get a raise. This year, the court has been requested to bring forth this information much earlier for a very critical reason. The town board is engaged in focused activities which, if successfully accomplished, will lead to firing one judge and cutting the salary of the one remaining. This will require the general public voting on a referendum in November. Because it will be up for a vote, the town will vigorously market this idea to the voters. I feel the court needs to make clear to the general public what the terms the town is using to justify this action actually mean. Over the objection of the judges, the town adopted a philosophy toward its court that the true measure of the worth of a judge is the volume of his output. The more arrests that are made and the more quickly they are processed, the more justice is being done. I will point out there's no statute, regulation, or judicial decision which defines the concept of case count, nor mandates a quota for the judges that they must reach in order to be considered competent. However, the court has no authority over how the town chooses to evaluate its judges. Picking a quota based on the performance criteria that has nothing to do with the actions of the judge seems misplaced, but management has the right to mismanage. In the last budget cycle, the court provided the case count that the town requested. The supervisor ran an evaluation, and the result demonstrated that in relation to all other courts in the county, the judges were undercompensated. It showed that in order to achieve parity as described by the supervisor's formula, the judges should receive an increase of 4.5% above any cost of living adjustment. I want the general public to remember this. Case count was portrayed over and over again as the gold standard to assess a judge's performance. In fact, it was critical, essential, and almost the sole determiner of the judge's worth. However, the data gathered by the supervisor, analyzed by the supervisor, and issued by the supervisor showed that the judges should get an increase in pay. However, they did not receive it. It turned out that case count only counted if it provided the answers you wanted. So when the board posts the referendum and starts to market it to the town invoking case count, please remember that case count is only a valid argument if it proves a negative against the judges. Case count turns out to be an advantage to the judges, as it was in the matter of salary. Case count doesn't count. It becomes a non-standard standard. Now, let us talk to the reappearance of something out of nothing, which is the concept of public hours, which was also put on the record in that meeting in January. Let me say this categorically. There is no such thing as public hours for the court. We do not see the public. We see a certain small, select portion of the public that has, for one reason or another, business before the court, which is handled on an appointment basis in every case. Everyone who has business before the court is in possession of a piece of paper that specifies a date, time, and location, as well as the name of the judge who will, at the appointed time, pay attention to them exclusively. If the time specifies creates an undue hardship, all that is required is for the individual to contact court, and he will be issued a mutually agreeable time at any time on any day of the week. In the past 2 months, I have held court on Monday evening, Tuesday afternoon, and in December, I handled an arraignment at 2:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning. We work by appointment, not by open hours, because judging is a complex duty. Contrary to the town's portrayal of its judges, we are not merely assembly line workers processing fairly simple and routine tasks. Whether it is a civil or criminal matter, the individuals before the judge should have an expectation that the judge will have the necessary paperwork, understand the law that's being discussed, understand the circumstances that each participant brings, understand the rights of the accused and the prosecutor in regard to the matter before them, and understand the limits which the state has imposed on the court for any given procedure. We do not do walk-ins. Occasionally, if we are already in session, we will accept someone with a traffic violation who wishes to plead guilty, but that is not standard practice, nor is the absence of an open meet the judge's court a reason to terminate a judge's employment. So let me say this again. There is no such thing in public hours. Like case count, there's no statute or judicial directive or regulation that specifies a definition of public hours or sets a quota for judges as to how much time should be devoted to these public hours, because there are no public hours for judges within the court system. I would say to the supervisor and the board, please put this vile little canard away. It is ignorant, misguided, and continues the overt hostility the town displays toward its court. And again, for the general public, as with case count, when the board rationalizes its push to fire one of the judges citing a lack of public hours, please remember, there is no such thing. The judges exercising their autonomy, discretion, knowledge of operations, and the current situation regarding virtual hearings, electronic communications, and the state of the pandemic have directed civil and criminal cases to separate calendars. That's a change. We've directed them to separate calendars to more accurately serve its petitioners, defendants, district attorney's office, troopers and deputies, and defense attorneys. That is who we serve, not some nebulous and ill-defined public. Unless someone can cite legislation giving the town authority over the judges, we aren't required to secure consultation, permission, or authorization from the supervisor or the court liaison to determine the methods the court uses, especially when complying with a regulation that exists only in the mind of the supervisor and the court liaison. The United States Constitution clearly specifies a separation of powers between the executive and judiciary branches. The president does not supervise the Supreme Court. The New York Constitution clearly specifies a separation of powers between the executive and judiciary branches. The governor does not set the hours of the New York Court of Appeals. And a town supervisor cannot direct, compel, or coerce the town court to follow his dictates. We are a separate branch of government. Our supervisory judges receive regular reports of our financial responsibility, our education credits, and our monthly reports. The town is attempting to assume a role that is outside that prescribed by law. The only power they have is the one they're proposing: eliminate the judges who won't accede to the will of the town. Now, the town has every right to take the action it is taking, and it's not required to give a reason. However, when it chooses to give reasons to justify its actions, those reasons should not be fabrications and willful misdirections regarding how the court operates. Thank you for the time.
Thanks, Gary. Any questions for Judge Reinbold?
Gary, how long has the town had two justices? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't. Certainly predates me. Well, let's see, Harold, God, how long did Harold sit on the court?
40
Decades.
years.
I would estimate decades. That's just an estimate. That's not, I have done no research and have no factual basis for that assertion.
I think I was going through something the other day and there was two justices in 1920.
Well, we are of the opinion that that is a good idea, but others do not.
Okay. With that, thank you for joining us and providing the information, and I'll move on to the supervisor's report.
Can you say anything?
We're in the meeting, so. Thank you for asking. Pulling up my supervisor's report that I forgot to print, even though it's really short. So I'll now go into the supervisor's report, and I received an email from the Thompson County Youth Services Department requesting that we assign a town board liaison for the Youth Services Advisory Board. And so I did call Kate, and she actually very eagerly accepted. So I'll be offering a resolution later tonight to appoint her as the town board liaison to the County Youth Services Advisory Board. And then we also need an additional representative. There's a vacancy for the Tompkins County Joint Youth Commission. Our other representative on that commission is Karen Scott. So we should reach out, and I think we'll put out a town announcement, but we should reach out and see if we can find somebody to provide that service for us.
Karen stepping down.
Pardon me?
Karen stepping.
No, it's two positions.
Oh, it's two people.
She's
sorry.
still there. Yeah,
Okay.
so we just have a vacancy.
Okay.
The LED street light conversion is still pending, but I am told that it's imminent. So this Friday, I'm supposed to get an update on that. And we are next in line for the installation. So
That's good news.
I hope to learn good news on Friday. We received the battery energy storage system siting law from the planning board. And I know that Will did a lot of work on that. Thank you, Will.
Thank you, Will.
And so that document's now under review by the town attorney. And thanks to Bill Bedolka and the rest of the planning board as well. Velvet and I have been working with our Clean Energy Communities Coordinator on the updating our building energy benchmarking. And so that's almost complete, and that'll complete an action item for us. So, and it'll be nice to be able to track building energy use over time.
Okay, so that's just tracking building energy usage over time. That's
Based on what we used, yeah.
for
from-
heating,
from our-
lighting, or
It's for gas and electric.
Great.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
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 Great. And then this year with the
so
real.
sorry.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's like a tracking system that will just enter into
Oh,
some
no.
database.
No. So, yeah, I'm glad you're asking. So, we got the billing histories from NICEAG.
Yeah.
From the utility, and we're just transporting that data into NYSERDA's Portfolio Energy Manager. It's an app, program. So it'll go in there.
And can analyze it from the.
I think it just makes the data available, and then we can analyze it and do what we want with it. So we did that in 2016.
Yeah,
So
it would be neat if there was some way to break it out into heating and lighting. I don't know.
yeah, this is only electric, and it's still total. It's not different ways that
Yeah.
electricity is used.
Yep.
As an aside, over in the next year, NICEAG is going to be implementing smart meters, and I'm not those may have more facility, but I'll have more information on that in the future.
Mark?
So
Mark, can I say something about that?
yes,
NICEAG made a report to TCOG last week. And they're going to be replacing excuse me, everybody. They're going to be replacing meters this fall, probably in October and November. The meters that everyone has, gas and electric, are analog. They're going to be replacing them with digital meters so that the readings will take place automatically through their system. So they'll no longer be coming to read meters nor ask citizens to read their own meters. For citizens who were concerned about that process, having direct digital access to their information, they can opt out of these meters. However, we were told that if you opt out, there will be a charge. So they didn't say what that was. But I was going to mention this in my report in a minute, but since it came up, I just thought I'd mention it now. I hope that's helpful.
great. Thanks, Tim. Yeah. So there are some other things to say about it. I'll wait for your report too. So great. The other thing I want to note is that the assessment department is holding the local advisory board review date this year, where you can come to the town hall. It'll be here if you want to discuss or ask questions. Cal knows about your assessment.
Yeah.
And so and Lynn Pagorzo has already agreed to be one of them, and I've contacted Alan Harrison too, so I'm hoping he'll be willing to. So that will be in late May, from a day between the 10th and the 20th. So that's all I have.
You've got a wide angle.
Any
lens.
other questions from my report? Great, okay. Thanks very much. And town clerk's report.
Hi, everyone. Mine's really quick tonight. I just wanted to report to the board the collection fees for February, and that is as follows. Sorry.
It was very good.
Hey, how about the lost dogs? Tell us about that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Dogs. Okay, so speaking of dogs, there were 34 dog license renewals, 10 building permits, and 1 impoundment fee. And I wrote check number 267 to Mark on March 2nd in the amount of $2,946. And then other general things happening in the office are obviously continuing tax collection through the end of this month, getting money to the county, FOIL requests, and other daily things that happen in the clerk's office. So that's it for me.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse.
Any questions for Jesse? Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you for being there, Jesse.
Yeah. All right. Highway Superintendent's report.
Mine will be pretty quick. I got a few things. Some of them are on the agenda already. We took delivery of the new 1-ton replacement. We're in the process of actually making that the new chipper truck as well. So we'll be alleviating one piece of equipment, or 2 pieces of equipment, sorry, into one. The other thing is we're still waiting for some contractors as far as roof repair and electrical repair. Trying to get on the schedule for that, but it is scheduled to be looked at as soon as they can get there. Just a note for everybody to just keep in mind, for those that signed the vouchers, have already seen it, but fuel as of this month has doubled from what it was. This may affect a few projects this summer, depending on where the price of oil goes. Things are kind of left up in the air, as far as some summer projects. Price of tires has gone up 6 times in the last 3 months. If we order tires today, we may not see them for approximately 6 months. So we're trying to buy what we can buy now, not necessarily to stockpile them, but to have some spares on hand. Prices and availability are through the roof. I think that's about it. I did have, like I said, I have some other things, but they are on the agenda, so I
Great.
can bring those up.
Okay. Thanks, Bob. Any questions for Bob on what he just reported? Or comments? Great. Okay, thank you. All right, county representatives report. Dan obviously is not here tonight. He sent us a report and I thought I would read it because it's fairly informative. So he said the final sales tax receipt numbers for 2021 came in last month. It was a record year. Receipts were up 21% from 2020, which was very low sales tax year due to the shutdown of the economy. But 2021 receipts were also up 7% from 2019, which itself was a record year. It's hard to say exactly what accounts for this increase, but the likely contributors are pent-up demand and high gas prices. The town of Caroline sees a share of these sales tax receipts. Many Caroline residents received their new assessments. I did. And a lot of people are shocked and angry. I don't know if this makes it any easier for people to take, but here are a few things I've been advising people to consider that aren't immediately obvious in the assessment notices. The first thing to understand is that an assessment increase is not the same as a tax increase, despite what the notices said. The best analogy I have is that the total taxes levied are a pie and the assessment just says how big your slice is. Assessment is an attempt to estimate how much your house would sell for. No matter what other issues get tagged on, that is the bottom line. Is this assessment number accurate in terms of how much your house would sell for? Most people are reassessed once every 3 years. So if you divide the percent increase on that notice you received by 3, you will get an average annual increase. That number will seem much more reasonable to a lot of people. The online real estate site Zillow reports a 12.4% increase in the sales price of houses in the 14850 zip code last year and predicts a 14.7% increase this year. Multiply those numbers by 3 and you will see that the assessments are in line with reality. There are a few ways to challenge your assessment. One is to compare your property to other similar properties that have sold recently. Another is to let the assessment department know if they have incorrect information about your property. You can request the assessment department to come to your property so that you can show them things that they were not aware of. So I thought that was helpful because a lot of people have received reassessments this year. Then a final note, Dan has been committed to looking at cell service coverage countywide. So his next paragraph, the simple anonymous online cell phone reception survey that I had previously spoken with you about is now live. It asks 3 questions. Where do you live? Who is your cell phone company? And rate your cell phone reception on a scale of 1 to 5. This information, you don't get 0, huh? This information will help generate a map showing where the zones of poor cell phone reception are. I'm not sure yet if or how we are going to be able to use this information to address the problem, but I know that identifying the problem is the first step to solving it. You can find the survey at tompkinscountynewyork.gov/cell survey, or just Google Tompkins cell survey. So
I can tell you about 0, because if we don't have any cell service at our home, so I asked him, should I not fill out the survey? And he said, fill it out and put a 1.
you get a 1, yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Even though it says minimal, I guess 0 is like minimal.
Yeah, great.
Put it in the notes. I have nothing.
Okay, so that's the county representative's report. And now we get a report from Will Lawrence on age-friendly communities. You're up, Will.
So I used to do a report every month, more or less, about seniors. That was, I think that's a couple years ago now, isn't it? But yeah. I hope to make a comeback on that and start reporting again. And so I will say, we hope the seniors will resume their monthly gathering in April or May. Can you hear me? Sorry, it's nothing personal, you guys. You really have a low white blood cell count. Okay. So I hope to start reappearing every month. But I'm also here about age-friendly communities. And, you know, I've been involved with that since 2017. And it started out as a World Health Organization movement to, you know, to make, it's an umbrella concept that covers a lot of different areas of livability. Some of this will be familiar from 3 years ago, but it includes things like housing, outdoor spaces, civic participation, transportation, health services, emergency preparedness, and lots of other things. So the idea is to make communities livable for people of all ages throughout their whole lifespan. The focus shifted from seniors to, you know, that's what it was originally. It focused on seniors and helping them age in place. And now they've realized, of course, you make life easier for seniors, probably doing everybody a favor. And so they've expanded their thoughts about that. And at this point, they're focusing more on seniors and youth because those tend to be more vulnerable parts of the population. So age-friendly, participating in age-friendly communities usually involves a 5-year plan. And Tompkins County is putting together their second 5-year plan. So this is an opportunity for the town of Caroline to provide input to the plan and also to benefit from the efforts of organizations in the county. So I'm asking the town to consider signing a partnership pledge. And I gave you a copy of that. And I will tell you, I just modified the signature line because it was originally set up for social organizations and CEOs of boards. Okay, so just to remind you of the background, and also this may be some information you're not aware of, even if you remember where we started from. Tompkins County was selected as a center for excellence and received money to document their best practices from their first plan. And this resulted in a report on the response of the town and county to people with food insecurities during the pandemic. And it was a really huge interagency effort, and we got some great documentation on that. And I think the lesson they learned, they came away with was that the county had such a good distribution system already in place for helping people with food insecurity, that they were able to draw on that during the pandemic, as opposed to a lot of the health systems where during the pandemic it exposed all their weaknesses. For our county in food insecurity, it actually showed our strengths.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So there was a report on that and a follow-up analysis of comprehensive plans, including Caroline, but it was the 2006 plan because 2016 or 2020, now 2020 plan wasn't in place yet. There were also some educational workshops by Zoom and a presentation that included a piece about Caroline at the annual meeting of the Upstate New York section of the American Planning Association. So if you would like any of those reports, I can get them for you. So also out of this came a new recognition of the growing urban rural divide and a shift in focus to the needs specific to the rural areas of the county. So if you look at their first 5-year plan, it sounds great for urban areas, talking about traffic patterns and crosswalks and things like that. And, you know, out here, you're like, do you want to take your life in your hands with a crosswalk on Route 79? Yeah. So what is more appropriate? So now they're shifting their focus. And so far, Caroline's the only town in the county that has actively but informally participated. And so this would be a chance with the pledge to more formally participate and to have help from the agencies in the county. So I think our participation would be further strengthened by the fact that Dan Klein, who's our legislative representative at the county level, is also the liaison to the county office for the aging, and you know they are majorly involved. So to sum it up, these new efforts are really focused on developing resources and strategies that are aimed at improving health and well-being of rural residents of all ages. And the pledge is basically a commitment to work with other partners, help track the progress, and also help identify future opportunities. So I'm just looking for direction from the town board how to proceed, because the last thing I get tends to be process. So I'm not sure what the process is. Like, Mark, do you make a decision, or does the town board make a
Yeah,
recommendation?
no, everybody does whatever I say.
Oh, well, in that case, please tell
No,
yourself to sign the pledge.
I think it would be a town board resolution or
Oh,
something like that if we
I
wanted
will
to do
be
it.
happy to put one forward.
But
Okay.
I have a question about what's the manner of engagement? Are there monthly meetings or?
They haven't said yet that there'll be monthly meetings, but that's what it's been in the past. They've only had one steering committee meeting, and they're looking for organizations to sign on. And then they'll start meeting regularly, but it'll probably be once a month.
Okay,
Otherwise, they won't get enough done. It's a 5-year plan.
Seems like a no-brainer. I mean, I won't speak for anyone else, but 100% support.
We've been working a lot with Mildred Warner at Cornell and planning. And I don't know if you remember, Mark, she sent around a survey 3 or 4 years ago. And so that's what she and her students are focusing a lot
I see.
on.
I remember that, yeah.
Well,
And they're also focusing more on youth.
Tim has a question.
Yes.
Tim,
no, I was just going to say to Will how much I've always appreciated her leadership in this area for the town. And I think that this is really an important initiative. And just thanks ever so much for staying with us.
Sure. It's any excuse to, talk to people and find out their business. So, and what they want and what they like, as part of being age friendly, right?
so,
it seems like the only bullet point that is us doing that we might have a question about is assisting and tracking the progress. If there are specific ways that we would be doing that. I mean, you would just let us know, or the representatives would let us know, but.
Yeah, and I'm pretty good at figuring out, is that going to be like realistic?
Right.
Like who's gonna do what?
Mhm.
Like, how much do you want me to do?
Right.
And how much can someone who's getting paid
Mhm.
do something, because we're volunteers. Most of the people on the steering committee are people from social organizations. And by the way, Lansing is starting to talk about age friendly. I've heard through the grapevine. So
Well, we've got to beat Lansing. Come on. I'm kidding. Kidding.
Yeah, stay out there in the lead, right? So we are sort of leading the path a little bit for towns in Tompkins County.
I mean, would you expect that most of the municipalities in Tompkins County would join this and be partners in?
That's a good question. I see really uneven participation, even with some of the other advisory boards. So it's sort of hard to say. Maybe if the Council of Governments were more aware of it, that would change the balance a little bit. Maybe for a little more interest.
So other towns don't have someone like you bringing it to them or something? Okay.
Thanks, Will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so should we just have a resolution tonight to authorize the supervisor to sign this commitment of partnership participation.
If it works for you, it works for me. You know. it's
Should we get
past
a
my
special
bedtime,
pen for you?
so,
Yeah, this one's blue,
it's
it'll
nice
work.
not to stay for the whole meeting or to do it again.
Yeah, so.
I'm all for it.
You're gonna edit that out of the tape, right?
Oh, the tape is the tape.
It sounds like we have.
Do you want to offer a resolution, Catherine?
Sure,
Okay.
yeah. Whereas the Tompkins County Age Friendly Center for Excellence Pledge is in line with Caroline's values around participation for age-friendly communities, and whereas you provided this leadership, we, be it so resolved. We will engage in signing the pledge
Second.
Yes,
as, thank you, as presented.
second by Tim. So, yeah,
And I'd just like to say that Beth Harrington has been a real big supporter, and she's much more practical than I will ever be. And knows her way around the county government bluntly, I do.
Writing down what I just
So
said.
I'll be a little disruptive and gather my stuff.
great.
Well,
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Will.
Yes,
So,
sorry, not staying
we'll-
for the rest.
We'll look forward to hearing more about this, so,
Okay, once a month,
okay.
whether there's anything to say or not.
Mark,
Okay,
Okay.
whatever.
not even cheese.
There's a question from Jesse, hang on.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
think this might involve you, Will.
I just wanted to remind you to call a vote.
Oh, that's a good point.
Oh.
So, so no further discussion, right? So all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, Jesse. That was unanimous.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
And thanks for making it easy.
sure. Thank you.
Thank you,
for
Will.
making it easy. Yeah, all right. Good night.
Right, well.
Thanks.
Okay.
Jesse, I'm typing this up and I'll send it to you.
Any department, committee, or liaison updates?
Mark, since I mentioned the TCOG meeting regarding
Yeah.
NICEAG, I'll also mention that Ben Carver, who's the deputy mayor of Trumansburg, gave a presentation on EMS services in Tompkins County. And it was very elaborate. A lot of it actually turned around the impact that the closure of the Sudderville ambulance had on the county. It was really interesting. There's an excellent article in the Ithaca Voice earlier this week that summarized his entire report, and it heavily features the Carolina ambulances and especially the Harringtons. So I just recommend that everybody look that up online and read it because it was really helpful. And then I'll just quickly say that the Zoning Commission will next be meeting. Sorry, I just have to look at my calendar. On March 22nd at 7:15. And I also want to let the board know that earlier this week, Will Lawrence announced that she needed to withdraw from the Zoning Commission, but wants to remain on the Planning Board. She just can't take it all in anymore. And that leaves, actually, the Zoning Commission remains very, very robust because we initially appointed 7 people, I believe it was, and then we added after the Planning Board finished its work on the solar law, an additional 2 members. We had 1 earlier withdrawal. And then Val Work is on leave and in Italy, but he's been continuing to consult the work, and he's actually collaborating right now with Gene McFeeters on a mini report that's being done. So he's been willing to actively remain involved. So I think if there were any discussion of expanding that board at this time, which I personally don't see the need of, but I think we would want that to be a recommendation from the zoning commission itself. So thanks.
The recommendation from the zoning commission would be to not add anybody.
I haven't heard from them about that
Okay,
specifically. There was some minor discussion of it, and it appeared that the great majority of the zoning commission thought it would be best to stay where it is because they've been doing now almost an entire year of research, very, very complicated. And they're well on their way to penning this draft. That's what I heard from them.
Great, thanks, Tim.
Any other? Did we have established like how many people we wanted on the zoning commission?
How many is there?
It's not, what's that?
How many is it?
How many is it now?
What's the current number, Tim, of the
I think
members of the
it's
zoning commission?
7, something like that.
Who are
Yes,
the
seven,
members of the
seven.
zoning commission? Who are the members of the zoning commission right now that are actively participating?
Gene McFeeters is the chair, Ernie Bales, Bill Podolka, Michelle Brown, Barbara Knuth, Bruce Murray, and Val Work.
Right, well, I think Val is not on that list as an active. I mean, there was discussion about that, so last night, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
Val is still a consultant on the zoning commission. That's all. Right. That's correct.
I guess we should, define consultant, but it's not an important conversation right now.
Right.
Is Val coming back after the semester? I mean, he just
Yes.
over one program.
Yes, and he remains on the planning board and has been on the planning board.
The adopting zoning for the first time, if it's helpful, says the enabling laws do not specify how many members serve on a zoning commission. In practice, the commission of fewer than 10 members has been a workable number.
Yep.
Or whatever that's worth.
Great, thanks, Tim. Are there any other committee reports or updates before we move on?
The Ag Committee is meeting this Sunday at 2 p.m. at 262 Hartford Road at the Scott Family Hall. So if anyone has questions, needs directions, wants to join, you can let me know.
Okay, is
that a
that
confusion?
published or so that's only in person, right?
In person. Mhm.
What is that?
The Ag Committee, 2 p.m. on Sunday. Let me know if I messed up a process in some kind. It was in the minutes.
Okay, what's the address?
262 Hartford Road.
Great, thank you.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, when Judge Reinbold was speaking, I realized that he didn't seem to realize that we no longer have a liaison to the court, so perhaps you could let them know officially.
Oh, okay.
Are we going to hear about code enforcement position?
I don't have anything to report right now, so
Okay,
it's still, the application is still open
oh,
at the
it is?
county.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought somehow it went off, it closed the end of February.
I think it was renewed. I mean, we should announce that it was renewed,
I
right?
extended it, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Or extended, not renewed.
Yeah.
Okay. How many applications do we currently have?
4.
One thing, I don't know if this is the appropriate time or if I have the standing for it. I'd really like it to see somebody that's a local town of Caroline resident.
I think we should push that discussion off for now.
Yeah, I mean, I think our rules say somebody within the county or adjacent county, but I don't know, just the way, what the things that have been going on, I just feel like I'd like to give some weight to that.
Okay, that's a discussion. I have a different opinion.
Yeah, it's fine. And I'm glad for it, but I just.
Okay. I honestly, I'll be delighted to see any robust applicant. So, and, so that's, I'm flexible on that issue. Yeah, then if it came down to that, we'd probably want to talk about it. So.
Can I just say that we have an open search and that this particular discussion, given the open search, I think we would rather not have.
I agree.
Okay.
Yep. Thanks, Tim. Okay, let's move on. We have a full agenda. So we have this first resolution on public meetings regarding the town's zoning initiative. And we do have a draft resolution that was put forward by Catherine and modified slightly. So I think, I guess I'll just start by opening the discussion. I think there's a general idea here that we want to provide a venue for people to speak to us. I think they should be framed as listening sessions for the public. And I think we have some things to decide, like how many, where, and how we would structure and manage the meetings. So that's a very small introduction of the topic. I do, since I'm not, if anybody else would like to step in, I do feel it's important that the meetings be structured so that everybody that wants to speak has an opportunity to speak, that they have a safe environment, they feel safe speaking, and the expectations are well articulated in advance of the meeting. And yeah, I like the idea of framing them as listening sessions by the town board around the zoning initiative. And I know there was a discussion at our meeting last week, but also on this. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to pass it off to somebody else to. Karen.
Well, I'd like to see them in each of the 3 hamlets that have been designated in zoning. I'd like to see the opportunity, if we feel there's a respectful question asked that we feel that we can answer accurately, but there should be a caveat that,
What?
A caveat that we're.
Oh, caveat.
We will try to answer questions if we can, and it's going to be at our, don't try to back me into a corner about something that I really, don't. But yes, it should be listening for people to come and express their concerns about zoning, planning, what they would like to see as well as not see.
Yeah, I am also in favor of some question. I think, as I said last time, I think the forums that we currently have are listening. They're unidirectional, right? And I think that I understand why those are the way they are for privilege of the floor, public comment during a working meeting, and that's understandable. But I think that because in particular, because that's the only venue, I do really think, and I've thought about this quite a lot. I mean, obviously I drafted the resolution. In the resolution, there is not currently language about back and forth. And I have thought quite a lot about it. And following both the zoning commission meeting last night, as well as our last board meeting, last week, as well as just a lot of additional thought and research, I feel strongly that we need to be able to have some degree of back and forth. And I know that's risky, and I understand that this is probably, this is not what some people might want to hear, but I'm gonna state my.
You'll take a risk.
I'll take a risk, and I'm gonna say that I think that this is important, and I think people will be understandably very disappointed and unsatisfied by only having an environment to share something and then have us receive it and have that be it. And I would like to try to avoid that if at all possible. Like, I don't, I think there's a huge spectrum, right, of what we can reasonably do. I mean, I think there really need to be some thoughtful guidelines around this. I think people need to come with questions. They need to come with concerns. I don't want people to come with argument. I don't want people to come with things that are unproductive.
Bingo.
But that's the guideline, and I expect and respect the public enough that, like, I think they are capable of doing that. And I think we need to give people the benefit of the doubt that, like, if we say, please come with these things and please don't come with these other things. And if you come with these things, we can do this. And if at any point we can't, then we'll say that. And I guess that's how I feel about it.
I tried to come up with something that.
I'm gonna let Kate speak after you. So,
Okay, I'm sorry, somebody else got.
Kate wanted to speak.
Kate, you go first.
Okay, thanks, Cal.
Sorry.
Okay, so Catherine just said a whole bunch of things. First of all, she said she thought it was important and that she would risk things. I think it's important too. And I'm not a coward, and I don't want to not answer something because I'm afraid to take a risk. What I'm concerned about is that there's so much misinformation that, and I honestly don't know how to answer a lot of the questions because I haven't received anything really from the zoning commission. And I do not want to misstep, and I do not want to talk about things that I don't know and in any way undermine the work they're doing. The comments I often hear, there have been a lot of, misunderstandings, and I don't know how we would, if we, even in 3 hours, to go into each of these. I've offered to meet with people one-on-one, but what bothers me, Catherine, but what you just said is that I take risks. I am thoughtful. I think this is very, very important. And I want to listen to people. I want to get information out. I want them to know that I'm listening. But I don't think a public forum, back and forth discussion where the emotions this high will turn into a good debate. I also would like to see, like with the fracking, there was another group that came in. What was it? The conflict resolution group that ran the meetings, that put forth rules like we're not calling names, we're not repeating ourselves, we're going to listen to other people. And I think that that's really important to have so that people do feel safe. So I don't like the idea of back and forth because I honestly don't have the answers.
Okay, so.
But
Kim,
I do kind of resent that that I don't want to take risks.
May I? Because I'm being accused of something that has absolutely, I don't know where this is coming from. So if I've upset you in some way, I apologize. I don't know why this is being taken personally. I wasn't addressing any particular person or accusing anyone of anything, let alone being a coward. So I respectfully would like to just say that I don't know where this is coming from.
Yeah. So
at all.
Yeah, I think.
When I said take a risk, for the record, I was saying that I'm taking a risk in this moment right now in this chair,
Yeah. in time.
stating what I said, because it is an adjustment from the original verbiage.
Oh, okay,
I would consider that enough of a risk, given the environment that apparently we are in.
Mhm. Good, thank you. Thank you both. So can I go to Tim? Because Tim hasn't spoken yet.
Well,
Or
I mean,
do you not want to speak, Tim?
well,
Yeah.
I think that generally, one of the suggestions that Kate made, I think could be really helpful. It might be helpful to have these meetings run or overseen by a potentially neutral mediator or something like that. That sounded to me like a good suggestion, just to kind of key things down a little bit. As I mentioned last week, I mean, I am concerned about any premature articulation of things that the zoning commission is currently working on. So if we had question and answers, I mean, I think it'll be really, really tough to draw that line. And I don't know how we would do that. But I hear the points that everyone is making. I also think that we really need to have at least one of these meetings be hybrid or virtual so that everybody in the town can have the opportunity to participate.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm wondering, to me, it seems like it's not an all or none thing, and
Right.
that we can, I mean, what I was thinking is that we could, I don't know, listen, have the listening session. And also, I would like to frame the meetings as hearing from the community
Right,
about zoning.
right.
And, and that includes, positive, negative, up, down, whatever. It's,
Right.
and then we could have, we could take notes, and then there could be, we could have maybe at the end or periodically say, address the points that we feel like we can address
Exactly.
for that. And then, if there are others that we know we can't, we just have to let people know that. And then,
Exactly.
so, and so the way I'm thinking of this is taking this away from, I don't think it's a good idea to get into a situation where individuals are having a back and forth. So, but if we did it more that way, it would be more structured into the meeting where, now here's the time for the
Right.
town board, either individually or as a group to respond as they can.
Right.
And it is a good opportunity to correct misunderstandings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To your resolution, I came up with something I'd like to respectfully amend to
Please
it.
do.
Further resolved.
You're doing it respectfully?
Yes, of
Okay.
course. I'm doing it very respectfully.
As always.
Try. Further resolved, respectfully submitted questions may be directed to the board as a whole or to a specific member and answered if appropriate. One follow-up question will be immediately permitted to the responding or different board member if no initial response is forthcoming.
Read the second to last part again.
So you made that all up, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't
okay, I
make
thought
it
you were
up.
modifying. I was looking for it in here.
No, it's not. This
Okay.
is to
He's
amend.
penning
to-
it right now.
So I'll read the whole thing again. Further resolved, I'm trying to read my own writing, that's a challenge. Further resolved, respectfully submitted questions may be directed to the board as a whole or to a specific member and answered if appropriate. One follow-up question will be immediately permitted to the responding or a different board member if no initial response is forthcoming. If we just feel, no, I can't answer that, I don't have the, I just don't feel that's a legitimate question, but I'm asking too that the question maybe be submitted at least 48 hours or something before the meeting or 24, so.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I didn't get that.
Oh, That sounds complicated, Cal.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah,
And we're gonna have 3 of these meetings with 20, with the questions in March. Are we still doing this in March? What are the dates?
That's the goal. Yeah.
gotta have a deadline, Kate.
Yeah, okay. Oh,
I've already spoken once, so I don't want to take another turn. I just want to
Yeah,
add
you're
briefly
ready.
that this.
But we've all
What?
spoken once.
We've all spoken once, okay. That this, this conversation now, I mean, I feel like this is, I think, believe the purpose of this conversation is to just bat things around and try out some ideas and see
Yeah.
what's the best fit, like,
Right.
this is all like happening in a very positive and, you know, collaborative manner. There's, you know, so I guess I'm.
Respect.
Yeah, totally respectful, collaborative, like, this is not determined, this wording is not, you know, final, like, this is the process and we're workshopping it. So I guess that's how I would consider this. And, you know,
Yeah.
all ideas are like on the table because we're trying to figure this out. It's hard.
And I really like the idea of mediated, and if you start making accusations, you're cut off.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just
I think we should have, and we don't have to come up with them tonight, but we should think about ground rules.
Yeah, that's the word.
So comments are not directed to other individuals at the meeting.
Or they're not inflammatory or derogatory.
Yeah. And Kate?
the, if I remember back with the fracking listening meetings, there were ground rules set by the other group that came in, and they were well followed. I think people were very respectful. I'm thinking back, it was a while ago, and it was packed rooms. So that goes along with that, but it wouldn't be the town board setting the rules. It would, you know, of behavior. It would be this other group. And they would be the ones to step in and say, you're done, you've broken a rule.
Yep.
Can I ask a question of everybody?
Yeah.
Regarding hybrid? Whether we are committed to having hybrid at all meetings? And if not, there might be some of us that might not feel comfortable from a health-wise perspective in joining a public meeting in a hall with unmasked citizens. Just respectfully.
Court, I mean, people need to do what they're comfortable with.
Yeah, or there just may be things that come up that one or two of us can't make, you know. I think what's more important is to have the meeting than have all 5 of us there.
Yeah, I mean, I think one meeting for sure will be right here.
Yeah, this will be the Slaterville.
Because Slaterville or Slaterville Brickendale or whatever we want to call it, but.
Do one in Speedsville, there's no one.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was.
The community center has no one.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, they can't all be.
They can't all be hybrid if, you know.
And that may be just one
That would be okay, then we would just tape that one and.
Tape it. And, yeah.
Okay.
That's true, right? We could take
There is internet at the fire hall.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, so we could do that one.
And there's not enough parking at the fire hall in Speedsville.
Yeah, you know, as long as we tape them, that'll work fine too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the reality is it's now March 9th. And we haven't totally determined the ground rules, or if we're going to invite somebody to come in and maybe mediate the meetings, so.
There's a lot of homework to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
Barry, what are you up to?
So don't wake him up. So.
Hey, Mark, can I
Great.
make 2 real quick points within a minute?
Okay.
Okay. I really like Cal's emphasis on the word respectfully submitted, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's key.
Okay.
And I will do everything I can, such as it is, to see if that happens. And the other thing is, on the question of mediation. I was on the town board during all those tracking changes, you guys know, and I don't recall a mediator. I recall the League of Women Voters having like a meet the candidates thing. I don't recall mediation at this
Yeah.
big town board session. And I really think that the town board, you guys, can be the decision makers on what's respectful and not. I mean, I would be willing to see that, and I think any reasonable person would be. I mean, if it's really getting out of line and people are screwing up,
Yeah.
Mark, if you're chairing it, you just say, hey, look, guys,
Yeah.
we're trying to meet you here 2/3 of the way.
No, I
Either
agree with
simmer
that.
down or
actually,
we
Pete.
can't do
Yep.
it, man.
Yeah.
You know, I
I
can
think
be a
it's
hard
gonna be
ass,
that
so yeah.
problem.
Pardon me?
You know, I can be a hard ass, so.
Oh, well, you've done it to me enough times, so I know you're.
tough.
I know
You're
you're
so
perfectly
tough.
capable. So.
So I actually agree with that. Thank
That's
you.
all, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks.
Gary, you awake?
Kate has her.
Very good, Rich.
Okay, so.
Yes, I'm awake and listening intently, so carry on.
Thanks, Barry. So, oh yeah, Kate.
I remained really concerned about a back and forth conversations.
So
And I am very, very concerned about that. And especially as I don't feel we have the information to answer a lot of these questions. I share concerns that people have put out and talked about very much. And I just don't see how it's I don't know, but I am concerned, more than concerned about it.
Kate.
And I have also put a lot of time into it and thinking about it.
I have a question for you.
Mhm.
So are you uncomfortable with the proposal I made where we would let people speak? And then at some point in the meeting, I mean, it could be at the end of the meeting, or it could be a couple of times. We would say, you know, we want to address these issues that we feel like we can or want to clarify things or whatever. It would not be a back and forth. It would not be structured as, I agree with you that that's not a good formula for a good meeting and a good process. So would something like that sound feasible or reasonable?
Yeah, something like that would be feasible. That would make sense to make a statement.
Tim?
Yeah, I just think that it's important that we frame this around process and questions about the process that the board is prepared and ready to respond to. And that any questions pertaining to content regarding the work of the zoning commission be deferred. Also keeping in mind that the zoning commission has taken a lot of time to respond to every question that has been posed to it. And there's a volume of responses now. And I wouldn't want to see us get in the position of misspeaking in relationship to those learned responses.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So yes, the clarification is the topic of zoning and the content of zoning and the questions about process, not the draft or the language or the draft.
So,
Well,
right?
but
Pretty clear on that.
if you get into questions of, does zoning affect property values? Does zoning affect taxes? These are issues that the zoning commission has been researching and has responded to and continues to research. So
Well, that should make our job really easy because we'll have questions.
I just want to finish. Even those kind of broad questions, I think we'd have to be careful not to cross the line about.
And you're in agreement.
I guess I'm saying that I mean, all of the responses that we have are actually going to help us and make our job easier because we'll be able to refer to those answers and in a topical way. I mean, obviously, like these, no one is in any way questioning or debating the fact that there's voluminous. I mean, that's almost part of the problem at this point. There's so much volume of information that it's difficult to sort through. I mean, that's just, it's difficult. And so this is offering people who might just have this be a better environment for them, a more comfortable environment. You know, everyone has like a different learning environment, right? I mean, and this might be one that's just better for people. And so we can bring the documentation that we already have, and that would help us. I mean, I'm not an expert in planning. I'm
Right.
far from it, but you know, there's a lot of information in the newsletter and like that amazing yellow paper, like every household got this information. And I'm not in any way, this meeting is an additive. It is not an instead of or an insult to anything that's already happened. I just want to be like really clear about that.
But yeah, so, and yeah.
Bruce,
Oh,
I'd like to recognize Bruce.
okay.
I was on the planning board for 5 years. I'm on the review board, I'm on the zoning commission. And I've heard from the public numerous times what you're discussing. People want to be able to hear an answer. It would be very simple, and I believe if you attempt that, people will be decent across the board. The other thing I would like to say is, when we were in the process of writing the comprehensive plan and doing research, that we had some cafes, they call them.
Yeah.
If you have more than one thing, you might want to think of something along those lines, where you break down and there's only 5 people at a table here and 5 people here and 5 people there. And they have questions, you don't have to answer them, but they can write them down and then you can gather them. And it makes it easier for you to figure out, and no arguments, that type of thing. It's just an idea. If you're gonna do more than one, you might wanna maybe think about possibly trying that.
That'd be interesting. And then people could choose their format.
Yeah.
That's
Well, what I
interesting. I never thought about that.
What I also think that here, Bruce saying is that the public will really appreciate the effort.
Yeah.
And that, you know, there may be the strict rules and the right, wrong, black, white, but a lot of this stuff is gray. And also there's just the appearances of things. I think if they, from what I hear, if they see we're making an effort.
Right.
And I feel right now, a lot of people really aren't making an effort in spite of I feel we are, but.
So so.
I mean, I don't want to.
I guess I really agree with, keeping the focus on process. And the focus on listening.
Yeah.
To the public.
Yep.
Totally agree.
Keep your ears open and your mouth shut.
So should we?
We'll keep our mouths.
Sorry.
Should we look at a date? Or like at least a first one that we could start planning for? Today's the 9th. And I mean, I've been thinking in my head that a weekend would be a good time to do it.
One of them at least should be a weekend for some people like Tanya who have trouble coming. People got lots of
people.
very responsibilities. So, maybe they're in Slaterville, but they can go to Speedsville if it's on a weekend or whatever.
Catherine or Kate?
So I was wondering, when is the zoning commission going to have their next informational meetings? Is that set yet? Is that gonna be?
I don't think we know yet.
Okay,
Kate, I'm now thinking it's not gonna be until probably late April at the best. The way I think it's maybe a little bit earlier, but.
okay, I just wasn't sure if we were overlapping or budging up against it.
In March, certainly not, and maybe even the beginning of April. That's my read of the thing. So, and it might not be until early May. Realistically speaking, that could be the case.
There's only 20 days in a month now anyway.
So, yeah.
And do we?
Time goes so fast,
Do we want the first one to be a hybrid or a non-hybrid? Like what's anyone's preference?
Doesn't seem like it. There's not 24
Well,
hours.
certainly for planning,
Like,
doing the first one here
right, would be.
as a
easier.
hybrid meeting, I think would be a good way to start.
Yeah, kind of get our feet wet.
Yeah, and we've got the the technology installed,
We
and
have the technology.
if we did
Yeah, right here.
the 19th or
I
20th.
know. In a way, the non-hybrid is like, it's almost easier because there's not the navigation of Zoom and in person, but I mean,
True.
I don't have a strong feeling either way. I could, yeah. Tim or Kate, do you guys have a sense of whether you'd prefer an in-person, like a hybrid one first, or?
Well, I'm going to be out of town on the weekend of the 19th through the 22nd. And so
Okay, that's out.
I might be able to Zoom in for that.
Oh, okay.
But so that's the only thing I'm thinking about. I also, my husband is elderly and not in good health, and I've been trying to be very careful about COVID. So I'm really hoping, that cases won't go up and hospitalizations won't go up with people taking off their masks, but I'm watching that as well. It's a big concern of mine. I'm sorry I can't be there to look people in the eye, as one person said, but I can't be right now. So
That's fair.
that's my thoughts on it. I mean,
So does that mean?
I'm hoping to be able to be there in person next month.
But if you're away on the 19th and 20th,
Yeah. Gonna say that.
would it be, do you think you would be able to attend remotely, or would it be a very problematical?
It would be difficult.
Yeah, so I think we shouldn't do it that.
I mean, if it's in the afternoon, no, it would be difficult. Sorry.
So that would push us to which I think is fine.
Well, or we do a meeting that's not hybrid. I'm not trying to eliminate, like, everyone needs to just do whatever they're comfortable with and calm or not calm. Like, I don't think there's any obligation for all 5 of us to. I mean, are we saying that we want all 5 of us at all the
We
meetings?
do, but then we're gonna have trouble.
It'd be
getting the meeting.
nice.
No, I
It'd be
agree.
nice, but,
Right.
something's gonna come up and I won't be able, maybe I can't make one, you can't make one.
Exactly.
Something comes up, Tim can't, we
We'll
can't.
have a recording. It'll be
Yeah,
Right.
we can't trash everything just because it doesn't fit, when we're trying to herd cats here.
Great. So I guess I'm saying, can we just do like Speedsville in person next weekend with no technology and have that be a start?
You mean like the 12th or 13th?
No, like, I guess the 18,
The 1920?
yeah, right, 1920.
But
Because we either need to like wait to have a hybrid, because I mean, Kate, I respect what your preferences are, and so I wouldn't want to have a hybrid meeting when you couldn't be here. That doesn't make any sense. But if you're not going to be here for one, it would make sense to maybe be the one that,
Right.
I mean,
no,
I don't want to speak for you, but I'm saying if you're not going to come to the in-person one, which is fine, then we might as well have that one when you're not here, and
I
then
see what you're saying.
no one's missing out.
That makes sense. It's not a preference. I would like to be there, but I don't think I can be yet.
Right. So we know we have this room on the weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, we could. They're now heating the Speedsville Community Center, right, with coal stove. So I could.
Give me a date, I can probably get that.
Well, we talked, yeah,
I
we
can get the
talked
speeds
to,
over.
Tanya Morris.
The date.
If you give me a date.
Greg,
Especially if it's on a weekend, I don't
the
think.
Speedsville, would you call, oh, fire hall wasn't big enough, that's right. We
Yeah,
reached
fire
out to
hall.
the fire hall company,
Yeah, it's pretty small.
right?
The community center would be best.
Saturday or Sunday? 19th or 20th preferences?
19th and 20th is a fallback.
So Saturday is the primary? Okay.
Sure.
So
Okay.
if you do it on that day, you should probably do it afternoon.
Yeah.
There's a pancake breakfast at the Speedsville Fire Hall on the 19th.
Oh. Oh, good.
So
Over
we'll be
at
well
11,
fed.
If you have it after 11.
Yeah,
Then we could announce it at the pancake breakfast.
or we could do it, yeah, I mean, I guess I was thinking, yeah, I don't know, what do people think for a time?
What time is the pancake? It goes
8 to 11, Saturday and Sunday.
Is
With
that this
people-
coming Saturday?
19th and
the 19th.
Oh, I was starting
Next
13th.
weekend.
Whatever that weekend, Saturday and
Do
Sunday.
you think people would be like tired of town stuff, or it'd be like, get your pancakes and then go to a meeting?
Time to advertise it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now the 19th, so I thought the thing was 13th, okay, but it's 19th.
Yeah.
That'll be next weekend. Today's the 9th.
Today's the 9th.
Yeah, okay. Maybe shoot 1 o'clock or something.
Yeah.
And it would just be an afternoon thing. We can go into the evening.
Right.
Would that be good?
If anybody's worried about driving after dark.
1 to 3 on the
Yeah, I'll
19th.
always give you
So-
a ride, you know that.
Yeah.
I can't drink in Speedsville anyway, so.
March,
And then
okay.
maybe we could plan for like the Monday. Let's see, zoning commission is the 22nd, right, Tim, Tuesday?
Yep.
So then we could either do Monday, the 21st, or Wednesday, the 23rd. I don't think we have court or anything.
I can't do Monday if
Okay.
it's in the night. I can't do Mondays.
Okay,
Do we want to think about putting them all on the weekends? That's what I was thinking.
Maybe.
we could do that.
That's what I was thinking.
One each weekend for 3 weekends.
So,
I'm all for that.
so then we just go to the next weekend.
Yeah,
And should we make that one the hybrid one here?
yeah,
The 26th?
26th,
Okay.
26th it is.
There is a request on the chat for them all to be hybrid. I don't know if that's possible. I just want to make people aware that that was a request on the chat.
It's not possible at Speedsville.
Yeah.
I think if we make at least one hybrid.
I could set up my iPad, and broadcast it.
Yeah, I wondered about that too.
Right, and we can think about that, how to zoom it.
But if there's signal strength down there.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen
You mean?
at
Yeah.
Speedsville, so.
But 2 out of 3 could be, right? Because here and then the fire
I
hall.
don't know what either.
Yeah, okay,
We could at least do audio.
Yes.
okay. So I do, is this enough of a plan, or do we want to get a third date in place?
The next weekend. April, whatever,
The second?
as long as it's not the first.
First is Friday, so we'll be okay.
Yeah, that would be good.
So
Symbolism is important.
I'll be out of town, but that's okay.
that's okay, okay.
If it's, whatever.
I'll be in town.
I have the opportunity to hear lots of feedback every zoning commission meeting anyway, so.
Aren't you lucky?
So we're thinking the 19th of March would be Speedsville, the 26th of March would be here,
Slaterville.
Slaterville.
Slaterville, and then we'll do Brookendale, the other one.
Good. 1 o'clock.
Okay,
Do we think the same time it's easier to remember that? It's like 1 o'clock every weekend?
1 o'clock in the afternoon sounds like
Yeah.
a good start time to me.
Okay.
Don't have to get out of bed too early and
Okay.
then
Yeah,
it's
people
not
can get
dark.
their chores done and then get home to do the chores that they need to get done.
Yeah, okay. Great, okay, good. Did we make enough headway on this one for today? Do we have a plan? We've got
Yes.
dates?
Got dates, we got a plan, I think. So Catherine, how do you feel about what Mark said about making statements at maybe the beginning and the end, or either or? Do you feel okay with that?
I'm unclear why this is a question directed at,
Oh, because I thought you wanted more of a back and forth answering the questions. So I'm just wondering.
I want to hear from the public.
Yeah.
I want to provide a platform that is not inherently restrictive and unidirectional.
Mhm.
And I appreciate that there's going to need to be some flexibility because we don't exactly know how that's going to go. So that's what I would like.
If I can interject, I mean, there shouldn't be debate.
Right. thank
Question
you.
and answer, somebody wants to ask properly submitted question, and I feel I can accurately answer the knowledge I have.
Right.
I will accept the question.
Thank you.
But if I don't want to get in an argument or a
Exactly.
debate.
Yeah, I agree with Cal. Kate, if that helps articulate for you my vision. I mean, I am not interested in arguing with people. I'm not interested in debate. I'm not interested in like chaos. I mean, I don't know why it goes without saying, but I'll say it, I guess. I mean, I want for us to be really clear that we're not commenting on the draft because that's the zoning commission's job and they're doing an amazing job of that. That's not our role. But our role as a town board, as the decision-making body, is to listen to the public about this really important issue. And zoning commission or not, I would still want to hear from the public on this very important issue. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm proposing we do. And I think we're in agreement about that. I don't see it at all as a conflict with the zoning commission. And I feel like I feel like I've said this. I don't know, but.
And I think the way that it's not is that we, we're focusing on the process, as
Right.
Tim said. So,
And I want to make sure that we in no way undermine what the zoning commission's work is.
Exactly.
And what they've done and the effort they've put in, the blood, sweat, and time.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, there's, zoning commission, town board, supervisor, whoever, they, they just, it's ultimately just their town government.
Right.
And I feel like at a meeting, it's my responsibility to not let it get into a.
I mean, it's helpful to read like from the language specifically, it states, whereas the zoning commission continues to welcome, encourage, and respond to public feedback to the greatest extent possible as they engage in their work.
Yeah, right.
That we are like in agreement that they are doing that. To Cal's point.
Yeah.
For the last one.
I'm sorry, Catherine, I just had trouble hearing you. I'm sorry to ask.
Never heard that before. I was just reading if it's helpful from the language, because we are, we're having this discussion, but also to just bring it back to like, we have a resolution. We're discussing it. I guess we never technically got a second on it, but like, this is what we're doing. And so whereas the zoning commission continues to welcome, encourage, and respond to public feedback to the greatest extent possible as they engage in their work to develop a draft zoning law, right? That is their job, and they are doing that. Our job is different. That's not our job. So we're engaging with the public in these public meetings to do our job.
Sorry, I just have a quick question.
Sure, Jesse.
To what Kate was saying, I think you guys last week had discussed briefly about each of you or some of you preparing an opening statement on your feeling of where you stood. I didn't know if that was still what was on the table. That's what was said at the last meeting, so.
I thought what I heard was an opening statement about the process and where we're at, or something like that, just a clarification. And so that I would be comfortable with, and I think it
Okay.
could be
No,
helpful.
I just wanted to make it clear because I had a question asked because last week you guys, someone asked if you would be clarifying where you stood on the topic and you said yes.
I think, Jesse,
You are correct,
I think one person said yes. So I think that generally we agreed to do the statement at the beginning.
We don't have, we have not been presented anything from the zoning commission to be able to stand on the topic. That's my view.
Sure. So
I think if we need to review the recording from last week, which I have done, I think Jesse is correct that some clarification might be, in order about that. But I'm going to leave it to.
some clarification about what?
About a question that was raised about a request for town board members to actually share where they stand on the topic of zoning with the express purpose of allowing the public to know who to vote for in the next election. And the response was absolutely. And so we need to correct that response.
Yeah.
That's all.
I didn't hear that unanimous response, so I'm not too concerned about it.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I've reviewed the tape.
Well, if we need to clarify things, I'll, I'm not supportive of that.
No, I'm not
so,
either. I'm
yeah,
not either.
So, so anyway, I want to keep it focused here. Pete, we're getting on.
Yeah.
Does somebody need to second the resolution?
Pardon me?
Did somebody need to second this resolution?
Oh, I don't know. Did we get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. I thought we'd gotten it moving. Yeah. We
We
did.
were moving, I don't think it was, I think we missed the second.
So now the discussion starts. Do we have enough homework on it to pass this resolution?
Yeah, and I don't know if this is, I don't think it's so pertinent to this, but what about if we advertised it at the third, let's throw this up, the third meeting, we have request legal counsel, if everybody has legal questions.
I totally disagree with that.
I mean, that's where the misinformation is though. Like so much of it hinges on understanding.
Listen,
I can't hear that.
We really need to request for everyone to let the town board speak so that we can hear. Thank you.
Did you have a comment, Tim? Is that all?
Well, regarding the attorney, I think that the attorney has consulted us. And I'm not sure what purpose the attorney would serve at this kind of a public hearing.
Right.
So I would not engage the attorney for this purpose.
At this point.
Yeah, I would be concerned that it would create an expectation of, a Q&A with the town attorney, which I don't think is appropriate. So that's my opinion. So.
Yeah, no. We're here to kick it around.
Great. So shall we vote on the resolution and we kind of have a battle plan? Thanks,
Almost.
everybody.
Wait, sorry.
Okay.
I want to know what's added. So Catherine, you had, what happened to the one that Cal was thinking about adding?
I don't know if we added that. I didn't want to add that myself. I had comments on it. I thought it was too complicated. I think,
Maybe
I thought
Catherine could just read the resolution as it is now. Catherine, that
Okay.
might be the easiest thing to do.
Further resolved, respectfully submitted questions may be directed to the board as a whole or to a specific member and answered if appropriate.
I mean, I have to say that I really don't think it's a good idea to encourage questions directed at specific board members. We've seen some situations recently where instead of raising questions about process or about board thinking, some public comments have become very personal. And I'm concerned that would just encourage that.
What if I strike a specific member?
To the board, sure.
Yeah, I'd be more supportive of that.
Further resolved, respectfully submitted questions may be directed to the board as a whole and answered if appropriate.
Fine with me.
One follow-up question will be immediately permitted to the respondent. No, see, one follow-up question will be immediately permitted if we decline to answer that question. If no initial response is forthcoming.
I do not like this, Cal.
No chance on a second.
Well, I mean, so first of all, it's gone away from the idea of having a period where we address questions that we feel like we can.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought we were in general agreement about getting away from creating any kind of a, possibility where there's a dynamic of a back and forth. And I think that would possibly do that.
I guess I see it as somebody comes in and says a question, and we say, no, we really don't feel we can answer that. Do you have a follow-up question? And if they do, fine, and if not, that's what I'm kind of, if they ask a question and you kind of feel like, no, we say, no, we can't really, not that it's inappropriate, or just, no, we can't answer that, sorry. We don't feel we have the information to reply to your question, it's.
What if we can't answer the second one?
So then, then.
Well, my gut feeling is to keep it simpler rather than more complex, but
Respectfully submitted questions may be directed to the board as a whole and answered if appropriate.
Thumbs up.
That sounds good.
I like that.
I think Catherine is capturing it.
I am trying. Can you read the last part again? Cal?
Further resolved, respectfully submitted questions may be directed to the board as a whole and answered if appropriate. I really don't, I'm not happy with appropriate.
Right. I mean,
I'm not happy with that word, but I mean, what that means to me and what it might mean to.
If possible.
Yeah, I mean,
how about residents are encouraged to come with feedback, concerns, and questions about zoning in the town of Caroline. Answers will be provided to the best of the town board's ability. However, all questions may not be answered.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, that's more of a ground rule. I don't know if that needs to be in the resolution, but
yeah,
I guess we could, what about this? I mean, can we just do the resolution that we're gonna have the meetings? I put the dates in there, and then ahead of the meetings, we have a separate like white paper or whatever.
Yeah,
to
we can
say,
figure it
like,
out.
we'll
That's what I
figure
was
it out, and we don't need to maybe do the
I agree.
ground rules right now.
I agree. I mean, I think, yeah, I agree, because I don't think whatever we come up with tonight in our foggy brains at this point, we may want to change it, so.
So the only thing that I added then was be it so resolved that the town board will hold 3 public meetings in 3 locations throughout the town, Brooktondale, Sladeville, Speedsville, Saturday, March 19th at 1 p.m. at the Speedsville Community Center, Saturday, March 26th at 1 p.m. in the Town Hall in Sladeville, Saturday, April 2nd at 1 p.m. at the Brooktondale Fire Hall. Each meeting with a duration of 2 hours maximum, structured to allow residents the opportunity to provide in-person public feedback to the town board for the express purpose of hearing public comment about the topic of zoning. Be done.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then
I mean,
figure out-
it is, as far as the venues, pending confirmation.
Sure, yeah, I guess we can't have that in the
I'll give you an answer
resolution.
on that tomorrow.
Okay,
Okay. Should just.
I don't want to be presumptuous, but.
Speedsville, Sladeville, Brookendale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
And then your stuff will go in the.
Does that sound good? Anything else?
What do you guys think of that in Zoom?
Seems okay, the language, okay. So I'll call for a vote and we'll move to the next item. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Great, thanks. We got a plan. Okay, discussion of planning assistance for the zoning commission. So I just wanted to bring this up for discussion. So the contract amount, which I think is $34,000 some dollars for Nan's planning assistance, is we're getting near the cap on that. So we're going to need to make a decision about moving forward. We have budgeted for planning assistance, and so I wanted to put this forward for consideration. We're going to need to make a decision about moving forward with our planning assistance to the zoning commission as they continue their work. So. Tim?
And I just wanted to put this in a little bit of perspective, since at least Kate wasn't here at the time, when we interviewed candidates for this position of planning assistants to the zoning commission, we had, we interviewed, we focused on 3 finalists. And one of the things that was really interesting about this is that the firm that we felt best reflected or would be best positioned to understand the rural and agricultural nature of our community provided us with a budget that was $20,000 to $60,000 lower than the other bids, than the other 2 bids at the top end. So I just wanted to give us a sense that we've been relatively extremely well served in terms of the budget for this kind of work. And I think that the zoning commission has gotten a tremendous amount out of being assisted by this professional who's now at the stage of really assisting the zoning commission in the completion of a document, as well as providing lots of other research information at this stage of the game. And I think it would be extremely disruptive not to continue with this relationship. That's at least my perception.
So it should really be discussion of funding for the zoning commission.
Yes, I thank you. I was very confused by that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, so, okay.
Can I just add, when we did the budget,
Continuation. Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
when we did the budget, we did budget precisely for this purpose for 2022, just not specifically for this contract. So there's a budget line, I think it might have been 30 in the budget. And then when we did the budget, we discussed the fact that if for various reasons we needed to go more, we had it in the reserve. So I just want to remind everybody, because Kate wasn't here for those discussions, that's what that budget line is. It's just not targeted to the specific contract.
Right, right.
Do you have any idea how much more? Probably not.
No. I mean, personally, I'm hoping not that much more, but I mean, the other thing that we need to take into consideration is that if we're delivered a recommendation, a document recommendation from the zoning commission, then the board itself will probably need some direction or assistance in taking it into the various review procedures that we'll need to do on our end. I would think that would be probably practical. So we'd need to think about that.
Great. So I'm in complete agreement that, we need to continue with Nan. I think she's doing great work for us. And it would be disruptive to shift horses or anything like that. So great. So
and I'd just like to add that just so that everybody understands how this process went, the zoning commission spent almost a good 6 months, at least 5 months, basically just doing research on various options, different zoning laws, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all guided by the knowledge of this consultant. So that then the detailed work of this working on any kind of a draft happened only since December as a result of all of these various discussions and layerings, just so everybody kind of understands how this works. So it has been a very, very slow process.
Can you help me understand better? Because I'm just, forgive me, my ignorance, I just don't know, like, how is Nan paid? Is it like hourly? Is it like, how, how do we budget for something like this? Is it engagement with like crafting the answers to questions? How does she get
Yeah, she,
compensated?
We get billed $110 an hour.
It's hourly.
yeah,
So,
She provided us with a budget, a projected budget based on hourly rates. And I mean, interestingly enough, she's fallen just completely within the realm of what she's done. And that's having done an awful lot more work than I imagine she's anticipated by helping with answering all these questions. Almost all the questions have been floated by her. That was not work that was on her original radar, I'm sure.
right, well, I guess that's that's helpful because I think, is that a discussion that's not for here necessarily, but like that the zoning commission could have around utilization? I mean, the voluminous work with answering those questions, while obviously, I'm like in full support of like dealing with those. Ought that be like a conversation about how that's all, because it's a paradox, right? Where the community, I think understandably is concerned about funding this, and then the community simultaneously is providing voluminous amounts of information that then she's responding to, and then we're paying her. So I just want to be like really clear about how do we frame that for the community? I don't want to in any way limit people's like feedback, but I also don't know that that's a very clear connection about the money then.
No, that's a really interesting point, Catherine. And I would think that, logically speaking, the volume of these question and answers probably is not going to continue, because then the focus is going to become on the document itself, not on all these hypothetical question and answers. So one would anticipate that would peter out, right? And personally, I would hope that, I'd personally recommend at that stage, just from a process point of view, which is my only role with the zoning commission as liaison, is that, maybe there comes a time when the tilt goes totally towards the document. And maybe these public meetings that we're going to have will take care of that. That ideally that will facilitate that tilt, right?
Right, and that's a good point. Like that could be a point that is made of like these meetings are actually saving people money. I guess, I don't know. Or increasing efficiency or something.
I think Ann should have known there's going to be a firestorm. This is not,
Right.
this firestorm is nothing new and unique to the town of Caroline. Zoning is not usually well received in rural communities.
Right. But yes, and the zoning commission could have said, thank you for your questions. We're not spending hours and, pages and pages and pages to respond to questions. Like that could have done that, and they didn't.
Yeah,
and I'm glad.
Yeah. And I'm not like, I think it's great. I'm just like, I'm trying to amplify like what has actually happened to be clear about all the inputs here, financial, time, effort. That's all.
All right. So maybe, so that's a good discussion. And I'm not going to offer a resolution right tonight or anything, but
is it getting tight?
I think we'll be following up with Nan but at some point soon, probably we should have a formal resolution to authorize more work or whatever. So
if we could have a projected guesstimate.
Well, I think that's what we need to discuss. So I can't tell you now. So move on to planning discussion of 2020.
Kate had her hand up, Mark.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks. Kate.
Okay, Cal asked my question. So thanks, Cal.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. With my unsatisfactory answer. So planning discussion for 22 improvements to the town hall here. I guess Susan Hall's not coming tonight, right?
No, and because we were going to meet Tuesday to look outside and the weather was so terrible.
Okay.
It's hard to make any sort of.
So what was her role going to be? She was going to give it a look over?
Yeah, and just, some guidance, some direction, some ideas.
great. That's great. So can we just do that off the cuff before
Yeah.
the next meeting sometime?
Yeah, and, I think,
Maybe give me a buzz or something,
Yeah.
or a bunch of us, and, 'cause-
and if you can make it, fine, and if not.
Yeah.
One of the things I did take the liberty of, if some of the siding's gotta come off repaired and whatever, there's northern white pine that is siding that's available up in the Adirondacks. Because that would be the same material that's on, if we wanted to do restoration of stuff that's there, and some of the clapboard needed to be replaced, rather than
so you
buying western
researched
red
where we
cedar.
could get it.
Yeah, and, or if we go with the composite, whatever but I just, here's option A, option B, option C.
Have you run that question by her about those things?
Yeah.
Yeah, any
Well, historic preservationist likes to see.
original materials? Okay.
So
As much as possible.
Pine and not cedar? It's pine and not cedar? I guess I would like to be there when she comes to see the place. So.
Okay, I'll make sure, I'll try to work with you to have a heads up, but yeah, we can get northern white pine. It's plantation, it's not wild grown, but there's a plantation up in the Adirondacks that's growing and sowing. Because if you just go to a lumber yard and ask for 6-inch clapboard wood siding, you're gonna get, western.
Okay.
Some project out of.
Good, so that's exciting. So we'll look forward for a text and meeting Susan Holland on site here
Yeah,
when it's not snowing or something.
Snowing, blowing, and cold.
Good, cool.
So.
Okay, great. So should we move on to planning discussion for highway and barn site selection? So we are, I think some board members are still planning to go traipsy.
I'm just gonna take it on myself to try and get in touch with each of you and take and show the sites.
Okay.
Or, either Bob or, just rather than, I'll get in touch with you and Kate and.
That sounds great.
Tim, and we'll just, rather than try to get everybody together and go.
I think that's good.
That's just.
I think it's good.
That's folly, so.
Yeah. That's great.
So I guess if I could just add something to that. And I don't mean any disrespect when I say this, but we've been kicking this down the road for months. So I have offered numerous times to show everybody. And at this point, I'm starting to feel a little frustrated.
Bobby,
Hang on, Tim. I've offered over and over for individual visits. We've offered a group visit. Everybody always seems to have other places to be and other things to do. I get everybody has a busy schedule. I have a busy schedule myself. We've paid an engineering company, an engineering firm, the sum of $19,000 for this opinion of what site to build on. And it seems like now we're actually arguing that fact. So my question is, if we are just gonna simply go against what the engineering company had to say, why did we spend the sum of $19,000 to do it?
Discussion?
as a board, we decided that we would go visit the sites so that we could see what the sites are and what the implications are, which is our responsibility to do. And we haven't been, I do want to remind everyone that, and I'll speak forcefully about this, that I was trying to hurry up this process over a year ago. And so please, I realize that it's frustrating, but I do think that we're very committed to this project and to getting it going as soon as possible. We've also been faced with the coldest, snowiest 2 months that we've had in a long time. So we will, please, we will be making progress on this. We're really committed to it.
Great. So you know,
I mean, there's I guess I'll say, there's
Yeah.
multiple, I guess I'm hearing multiple things. There's like the site visits and then
Right.
there's the engagement with the firm and then there's the timeline and like, you know, in a way, there's like there's multiple
Mhm.
things that I'm, you know, and so the visit is the requisite to us then having a conversation to choose a site. Am I understanding that correctly? Okay,
I think that was kind of, yeah, it would
okay,
segue to that, correct. That's my thinking. We have the report that LaBerge did to
Right.
consider, but we wanted to have on the ground look at the sites.
That was my understanding.
okay. So I guess then if we just do that, we're gonna do that as soon as I mean, I personally, I guess I don't, it's not that I don't think the site visit is important, like, I'm happy to go visit the sites, but like, I guess I'm like ready, I mean, I'm happy to have a conversation without going for the. Like, I've seen this, I don't need to me, I don't want that to be a barrier, like, I don't need personally, I don't know if I'm speaking.
Mhm.
This is maybe sounds terrible, but like, I don't feel like I need to go to these sites to like have a conversation about what the next steps are. If we do need to do that, or there are other things we're gonna like see by going up there and like looking at the site, then I'm happy to do that. And if that's something that like, Bob, you wanna host, because like, are we receiving information specific about the site that's gonna help us other than just like going to see the sites? Or I guess that's my only, I'm like kind of confused about what we're thinking. There's maybe some revelation when we go see these sites.
One of the points that's been made is if one of the sites is, I'm sorry, did I?
Well, go ahead.
No, no.
She'll be next.
If one of the sites is chosen, that is going against the comprehensive plan because it's taking open space.
Right.
Whereas the first site where we are right now is, you know, there it is.
Great,
You
yeah.
know, there's a highway bar. But it's very constrained site. And then, you know, each one has. Then one of the sites, you know, problem is egress. What's the opposite of egress? Well, yeah, okay, thank you. So, I think one of the things is about, well, your comprehensive plan is saying open space preservation, and you're gonna plop a highway garage in it, and we're pushing everybody else to, you know, do cluster and try to things, and so we just take a big field and plop a, 20,000 square foot.
Right.
Right.
Kate?
I would like to see the sites, Bob, because it's, well, for the reasons that Cal just talked about, but I just don't feel like I have a good feel for what, I'd like to know more about the highway department. It's such a big part of the budget, it's a big part of the town, it's taking care of the roads. And so for me, it wasn't just about where to put the site, but to, as a town board member, understand more what the highway department needs and is looking for. And
Familiarity.
yeah, and talking to you too. So I'm sorry it's gotten put off. I thought we were going as a group, and anyway, but I'd be glad to meet one-on-one or come with Cal or whatever. So
Kate, can you meet in the days? Are your days open or during the workday?
my days are pretty open.
Okay.
But, you know, they get filled up with this and that, but I can make space.
Okay. So there's some diversity in kind of where I think it'd be good if everybody's comfortable with, you know, up to speed and feeling.
Yeah, we're just,
so
we're renew our efforts to get over the next couple of weeks to get sites visited.
Sure.
And, you know, arrange something to get the information that's requested. You know, what the needs, desires. Kate, did I get you a copy of the LaBerge report? Or did you get one way or another about?
She did.
Yeah, I just picked it up yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great reading.
It's a scintillating read. So then should we put then the next discussion would be like on next month's meeting to say, we're
We'll do
gonna
first
reconvene and talk about
At the
it?
agenda meeting,
Yeah,
sounds good to me.
I don't know. They're not proposing, I'm just like wondering what the process is. And then there's the meeting and then
We're
we
just gonna-
decide.
We're gonna try and quit talking about it and get doing it.
I think that sounds good.
Super.
Thanks. Okay.
Faster than a speeding town board.
Yeah. All right, so,
Does that sound okay, Bob?
Yeah. This doesn't, we can do some of this over the phone. It's easier to do it on the phone. I mean, if everybody has a copy of that report is actually great. There's pictures. You can get, quite the look from the aerial photos that were taken. Things are plopped here, and kind of gives you the whole, look of it too. So if it makes it easier to do it on the phone, just call my office, call my cell phone. My schedule's pretty, I can make it open, so.
great. All right, I'll move on to the next one. It was the discussion of the bioretention feature at the town hall, right out here.
So if you know, I was the one that actually wanted that put on the agenda.
Okay.
So, this has been kicked around as well for over a year. A little more than a year. When we redid the parking lot, as I've said before, we redid the parking lot, we sloped the blacktop from the sidewalk to the street, water runs to the street, it runs to the storm sewer, and it's gone. Put a bioretention pond in now, as I said before, would be a complete waste of money. I guess my question is where are we at? We said over a year ago, we were not gonna do it, we were gonna hand those funds back. And I guess my question is are we at that point? Have we handed the funds back, or is it a done deal now?
No. So I'm glad you put it on the agenda. So, I did brush off my notes. I think it would be a positive thing. And it, the soil and water, got state money, $6,000 for this. But beyond that, they thought this would be a good site to demonstrate responsible management of stormwater by a municipality for stormwater runoff from the parking lot, and it would be in an observable spot for the public as a demonstration project. So that's what, Angel worked, with Cindy. It's true, the water used to pool more down there towards the phone pole. I looked at the flow in the lot when it was dry, using a garden hose at the recommendation of Dondi Harner, T.G. Miller, and the water flows to the west edge of the parking lot. It just arcs. I started, drip lines moving across the sidewalk here from that direction to that direction, and it arcs over to the west edge. It does disappear, but it runs towards the street, and you're right, it runs into the storm sewer. So the idea of the bioretention area is to responsibly, treat this in a bioretention basin. And it just seems a shame. I think this is an opportunity we've talked about doing a beautification project at the town hall ever since I became supervisor. And just without even really trying, I ran into 6 people who were willing to either donate plantings or serve on a volunteer committee to do maintenance and planning for it. So I think it could be a really great project, and yeah, so I would like to do it. And if I've talked to John and Angel, they're both very supportive of it still.
Well,
So
I'm sure John and Angel are supportive of it. but why don't you get soil and water to fund the whole project? $6,000 isn't gonna put a hole out there in the ground. It's a bioretention pond. Second off, where you're saying you're gonna put a bioretention pond is up here towards the top of the parking lot. You're not gonna get any runoff at the top of the parking lot. Parking lot is sloped to the street. You cannot put a bioretention pond at the end of the parking lot because you will be within the New York State right of way.
I already told you that the flow goes to the west edge of the parking lot.
Mark, the west end of the parking lot, down there is within the state right of way. You're not gonna be able to put a bioretention pond. With, especially, we've had this conversation over and over. And it
I
seems
know.
like it gets tabled, and we're told that it's gonna be one thing and then something different. We said before that we did this work. Actually, Barry's here, Barry knows more about the water around here than any of us. And we've heard Barry's comments before.
We did. I didn't agree with Barry,
Really,
but we can disagree.
it seems like a complete waste of money. The things that we actually have to worry about today, rate of inflation has gone through the roof. We've talked over and over about, we don't know where we're gonna be 6 months from now. We can all say we're gonna take it out of fund balance, so that's gonna get empty pretty quick. Nobody thought we would be paying for $4.10 fuel today. We didn't design the parking lot to run to a bioretention. We did the parking lot over a year ago.
Mark,
Yes,
can I ask if this were to happen, what would we be talking about in terms of a timeline? And what would be, do we now know what would be involved?
what would be involved is excavation of an area, and it requires 40 yards of bioretention mix and some 5 yards of mulch on top of that, and then plantings.
And is it anticipated that the $6,000 grant will cover that?
There's no way.
Not even close to
I'm
it.
asking a question.
Sorry.
Yeah, so the bioretention soil and the mulch is about $3,000 when I looked at it today. And so, and then you'd need some excavation. So, and I don't know if Soil and Water can provide an excavator.
Soil and water doesn't want us.
Okay. They did float that idea, but I don't know if they've got any capacity.
So I thought I remembered a guesstimate from a
next point I
contractor
think-
quite a bit higher than that.
But, you know, so,
The next
I
point
mean,
that I'd like to bring up is completely on the other side of the parking lot. There's a fountain out here. There runs
Understood.
water every day of the week,
right,
all year long, all night long. And for some strange reason, we don't have a water problem.
so so,
This water over here runs into the ground. There is no catch basin. There's no,
yep,
there's no nothing.
okay.
What sense does it make to put a bioretention on one side of the parking lot and have a fountain run all year long on the other side of the parking lot?
Because it's treating runoff from a parking lot where cars are parked.
We've had more rain this year than we have ever had. We've had more water problems this year than we have ever had. And this parking lot has not been underwater. This parking lot has not had standing water.
It's not supposed to, that's not what it's solving. It's treating the runoff. The water flows, as I said, you're
Only
right.
treats it if you catch it.
What?
Can I,
Only treats it if you catch
So
it.
yeah, this is, yeah, Tim,
no, I think that I hear Bobby and Bobby's point of view very, very clearly. So I don't see the point of an ongoing back and forth at this stage. So I think it would be great if we could, for the next board meeting, have very, very specific new budget numbers
Details.
and details about what would be involved. And
Okay.
then we can make an informed decision based on all the variables and all the points of view. Can we do that?
I think that's a good idea. Other thoughts?
Yeah, we need to, if we're gonna, we need to have a cost, project cost. And when you said 40 yards, is that 40 cubic yards? You mean?
Mhm.
Is there some sort of a timing situation with this?
Well, it would be done like this summer or something, this spring or timing.
Yeah, like is there a timing? I guess I would potentially be motioning to just like table this because there's just a lot of other stuff going on. I mean, like, is there a, if we're just gonna like prioritize, like, what are we doing when? I'm
So-
truly
Yeah.
not saying an opinion because I
Right,
know
right.
this is not within my purview.
I
But
see
I
what you're
just
saying.
like, what are we doing talking about this project?
When we have other things going on.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
it's an honest question.
so, yeah, so as Bob mentioned, we were gonna do it in the original
Right.
grounds project.
Right.
And so,
It was just too expensive. I mean, the whole because remember, we were gonna have a contractor.
Right,
and
and so-
The highway department took over.
Right.
That's Cal Snow's recollection of
Right.
things.
it was before it was paved, right?
Yeah.
Right.
This was being planned like in an integrated way before it was paved.
And we had a contractor who was gonna come in and do this whole thing, and the price was very high. Bob came in and said, look, we can just work with Soup Coat. We got, and we can do it for half of X.
Right, gotcha.
And, but the retention pond got left out of the project.
Right.
Listen,
And,
And it was, as I remember, it was, it's quite, what that one, the slopes we were dealing with out there were a challenge.
Right.
it's not going to be that big of a deal for us just to get the information, I don't think. And,
Yeah.
and very briefly discuss it because it's not that complex of a project. So
it's not.
I mean, Catherine, I hear you that we have a lot on our plate, but I think we can do this very, very rapidly. I mean, it's not
Okay,
that.
that's fine. It's
So-
truly out of curiosity. It's
And-
like at the time
yeah.
that the thing was paved, it almost seems like that was the time when the ponds was
Right.
like, kind of seemingly not great, like
Yep.
the project at that time point seems from my limited knowledge to be like, that was the primary alteration is like we then paved the parking lot. But I could be totally wrong.
Where's the town sector?
It's right out here,
Out here?
right here. You can see
Between the two?
pretty close here, just, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the engineering plans were, John Anderson came out and, surveyed it all and it's a, but, it can be scaled back or whatever.
Well, 40 cubic yards is
The
3 by
reason-
6 by 2.
What's that?
40 cubic yards is 3 feet by 6 feet by 2 feet deep.
Okay. So the reason, so, the only reason to kind of push this forward is to either return or not return the grant monies.
Okay, because we have money. Okay.
Yeah, so
Gotcha,
it's a few years stale now.
Thank
but-
you for clarifying.
Yeah. All right, so we'll dust that off and put it forward. So the next discussion item is the use of ARPA funds and reporting requirements. And so I don't have any real progress to report other than I think, so I did get information on the April 30th deadline, I believe, is to get our reporting in the system, just to basically get it set up. I think, Velvet, we do have flexibility, I believe, in how we spend the funds from a document that I saw recently. So basically, there's a standard monetary loss deductions that towns can take. And the standard is 10 million. So we're well within that amount. So you can, I think you can use the funds for capital improvements. You can use it for any kind of, expense like that. You can use it for highway improvements. I think we could use it for, town barn capital improvements. And again, broadband is still singled out. So I think we have a lot more flexibility than I originally understood or that they originally said.
Yeah, I think so.
So
Could we use it to pay off a truck?
You can use it for
for what?
equipment.
Really? For purchasing equipment? Oh,
Or no,
Because it's
it's
considered
paying off
capital
what we had.
so
Could we, Mark, do you have a sense of, is it possible for us to, I mean, it's good to know that we probably don't have to make specific decisions by the end of April, but I'm wondering if, one of the earlier commitments was to use it to use a lot of it for broadband. Do we have any sense of what that might mean? Because it's not that much money. Like how many houses it would mean, or who we would contract with?
yeah. Kate has something maybe?
Not much. So I've talked to Ray Berger over in the town of Dryden because he's been working over there with broadband. He sent me a ton of stuff to read, and that's where I am on it. And so I'm still trying to figure it out. I also need to get in touch because there's been a lot of money now coming down through the federal government, through the state for broadband. And so maybe that could dovetail into it, or maybe that money could replace the 60,000 and we could use the 60,000 for something else. I think there's a lot of digging I need to do before I could answer your question, but I've started.
One thing I might do is reach out to Lee Hafley and see what he would say. So I will do that.
What's the size of the pot again?
It's about, I think it was 368,000 for us.
Do we have half of it already now?
We have half already. Yeah, we'll get another half this summer.
Okay.
Okay, so that's all I got. So I'm going to move on, even though the meeting's hardly begun. I'll offer approval of the minutes of March 2nd, 2022.
I have
Thank
something.
you, Justin.
I have something I'd like to have changed.
Okay,
The minutes, it said, I would like to have deleted Councilman Murray's wife and add Farrell after Renee.
add the last name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other notations of note? Great. Thanks. So with that, the minutes of March 2nd are approved. And I'll offer a resolution to pay the town bills in the amounts of A Fund $12,885.73. Highway Fund $160,000, $160,903.38, and Streetlight Fund $240.05.
I'd like to second that.
And seconded by Cal. Any questions?
I'm really kind of interested in this benchmarking of energy usage, because one of the things I found interesting is it only cost us for a very cold month, $170 to heat this old town hall, which I thought was very good. And I know I forgot it was around $1,000 to heat the old town barn. And so I think just in allocating our funds to do energy conservation and insulation, just, it'll let us see where our black holes are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it just,
Yeah, it'd be nice to see what happened when the geothermal went in here. See.
Oh, it was huge. I went back last year. I went back over with the bill and they just dropped.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
great.
I think there was one of the cold, not, cool months last year, we spent $7 heating. It might have been like November.
Mhm.
Okay, we spent 160 here in a month where the average temperature was 22. And so anyway, I just, just so that we put our money where it's needed, not where we,
Yep, cut down our operational costs. Great.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
But I just, the geothermals, I mean, I think there's not much heat in the ground when it's been 22 degrees average for 2 months, but the rest of the time,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's flowing water down there.
yeah.
There's lots of energy. Yep.
But even if that were the case, it sounds, Cal, like we still saved money with the geothermal during the same time period, probably.
Yeah, we had significant upfront costs, but the pricing, the price of natural gas has doubled in the last year too. It's not just diesel fuel and gasoline.
Right. Yeah.
The price of electricity stayed static.
Great. Should I call for a vote for the payment of town bills?
Yes.
Great. So, okay. So all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Now I would like to offer a resolution
To adjourn.
Appointing Kelly McKenzie as the town board liaison for the Youth Services Advisory Board of the Tompkins County Youth Services Department.
Second.
Seconded by Tim. And
I'm happy to give Kate more work.
yeah, great. Okay. No further discussion. I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I need to back up on my thing about the change to the minutes. What was said was Tim Murray's wife, but I don't feel it's appropriate in the official record.
Okay.
What was said was Tim Murray's wife, but no, she's Renee Farrell.
Was it in quotes?
I don't know what
So
was
like a
said.
direct quote though?
Yeah, but the minutes only have to reflect, don't have to be for verbatim.
Right.
Right.
But
They
it's
just
just-
have to be the essence of what,
Yeah.
the essence of what goes on. And they just.
Jesse's giving you a thumbs up.
Yeah, just.
She is.
She did. Oh, she took it away.
That's the wrong thing.
We need some upgraded Zoom emojis for Caroline purposes.
All right. Did I forget anything? All right. Thanks, everybody. Without further ado, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Seconded by Catherine. Anybody want to discuss it further? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Great. The time is
Thank you for hanging out, guys.